Happy Friday! We made it. We made it. Another happy hour is upon us. I just want to thank Dragon Water for the super chat that came in before the show. For some reason, I can't view it in my studio now, but thank you, Dragon Water, for that super chat you sent in before the show. And thank you, Alan, for becoming a new member on my YouTube channel. I do greatly appreciate it. YouTube membership is a great way to support the channel. It also gets you some fancy special emojis that we really only use for happy hour, but you can use them anytime if you want to. All right, guys. Well, today, I mean, it's been an eventful week, guys. I was thinking there's so much crazy news that has happened this week that I haven't had a chance to cover because there's been so much crazy news. I was actually thinking about maybe having a stream tomorrow sometime. And I don't have enough time. I'm recording a podcast, doing a Stitch and Bitch or something tomorrow. I was actually thinking about doing a stream tomorrow called All the Effed Up News of the Week. Effed up news of the week that we may have missed or something like that. Some effed up news stream, because there's just so many stories that I want to cover that I just haven't had a chance to because I've been so effing busy. Well, you guys know, for any regulars, we mount the like button on this channel, so go ahead and mount the like button if you are so inclined to do so. Now, if you have never joined for a happy hour before, happy hour is a fun thing that we do on Fridays to kind of blow off steam. It's a fun stream. We're supposed to just be enjoying ourselves, enjoying the fact that it's Friday, maybe drinking a beverage or two. I will be drinking beer today. I will be showing you guys the beer I'm going to be drinking in a minute. But if you are drinking something, whether it be coffee, tea, water, something stronger, let us know what you're drinking in the chat and if you're enjoying it. Now, the whole point of happy hour is that for people who maybe haven't been before, what we do is we watch a woke video of some sort. It might be a diversity training, it might be a speech that someone has given, but we watch a woke training of some sort because I think that it's very, very important that we hear this from the horse's mouth themselves. I want us to actually hear what these people are saying, because I think, especially with the way a lot of this stuff is being covered in the media right now, it's a little bit difficult because I think that people are zoning in on the most extremist parts of woke training, and God knows there's lots of goodies to zone in on, but I also think that that deludes exactly what they're doing. And so I want to just watch it. I want to watch what they're saying and what they're doing, and I'm going to be watching it anyway. So I might as well make all of you suffer right alongside with me. Congratulations. Today, we are going to be watching one and or two videos, depending on how it goes. We're going to be watching Miss Kimberle Crenshaw. Does anyone know who Kimberle Crenshaw is, or why we might want to make sure we know what Kimberle Crenshaw is saying? If you know who Kimberle Crenshaw is and her claim to fame, type it in the chat. Let's see how it's going. But in the meantime, because I find it to be a rather painful exercise in order to watch these trainings, I drink while I watch them. Now, I don't drink that often. I actually, it's funny. I was actually posting about happy hour on Gab, and I actually like Gab, more or less, but the people on Gab are so militant. They were like, how dare you post that you're drinking beer? There's alcoholism is rampant during the pandemic. I'm like, it's Friday. I'm going to drink a beer. I'm sorry. And today's beer, I actually have a 4-pack of cans sitting right here. I just barely got home with them, is the Southern Tier Blackwater Nitro Series Coconut Truffle Imperial Milk Stout Ale with sea salt dark chocolate and natural chocolate and coconut flavors. And what we want to really pay attention to here is, I'm going to get myself in trouble today. 10%. 10% this beer. Why am I drinking this beer, you ask? Because it was the only one that was cold in my fridge. And so we're going to make do. I see some people are drinking some water in the chat. They're drinking some Mountain Dew. Casper's doing something. I always know Casper's. Oh, God. Miller. Oh, my God. Randall. The worst hangover I've ever had in my life was in Milwaukee after one of my friends, now former friend, because they abandoned me after I left the left. But one of my then friends convinced me to finish the night drinking 2 Miller High Lifes. And it was the worst hangover I've ever had in my life. It was so awful. I couldn't even see straight the next day. It was the headache was so bad. So I'm not a fan of that. But you do you, man. You do you. We got some cannabis tea going. Awesome, awesome. Now, some of you said in the chat, Kimberle Crenshaw is famous for intersectionality. That's right. Kimberle Crenshaw is the woman that came up with the term intersectionality. And so we're going to watch a couple videos from her today, at least one, maybe two, depending on how it goes. And we're going to see what she has to say. Now, this stream is being simulcast on three different places today, actually. I normally do it on Odyssey, and I can't get Odyssey. Oh, Odyssey looks like it's up and running. Maybe Odyssey is actually working. Yes, it looks like Odyssey is actually working. So I am simulcasting the stream in 4 different places today. Of course, I have my main YouTube channel, which most of you are watching on. It on my second YouTube channel, which is called Actively Unwoke. If you are watching on the main YouTube channel or any of the other YouTube or any of the other channels, really, but especially my main YouTube channel, please make sure you subscribe to Actively Unwoke as well. This is a channel that I'm really going to be building out over the next several months to focus in specifically on how to fight back against the woke left. To be honest, I'm probably going to move Happy Hour there eventually, which is why I just stream it on both channels, because I don't want to have to re-upload and do all this. I just want it to live in both places. So if you are subscribed to my first channel, please make sure you subscribe to my second channel. It also comes in handy in case YouTube gives me a stupid nonsense strike and I need to communicate out with you guys. At least I'll be able to communicate out on the Actively Unwoke channel and not, even if I can't on my main channel. So please make sure you subscribe to both. I'm also simulcasting right now on Odyssey, which is one of my favorite YouTube alternatives. I'm also on Rockfin. So where you can find me over there as well. So you can always find my videos in a number of different places. You can find me on YouTube, of course, for right now. We'll see how long that lasts. But I mean, YouTube is actually usually pretty good to me. So I'm honestly not really worried about it. Of course, my locals. Actually, let's just bring this up. My locals is a place that you can always find all of my videos. I upload everything there as well. And of course, on locals, you get everything ad-free. Locals is also a great way to support my work. Now, you can join Locals for free. It is free to join, kb.locals.com, and the information is down in the description somewhere. And so if you join for free, you're going to get all of my videos ad-free. Everything is mirrored over there, so we never have to worry about getting blocked or banned or, strikes or anything like that. It will always be there. But if you want to support my work and support what I'm doing and interact with me more, and we're going to be doing lots of cool stuff in my locals, you're going to want to become a member. And you can become a member either through a monthly donation or an annual donation. It starts at $5 a month. You can go more if you want, but $5 a month is the minimum. Or if you want to go annual, it's $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. Again, you can give more if you want to, and of course, I always appreciate it. But the $5 a month or $50 a year is our base rate for that. And what you get when you join as a member is you're going to get to comment on all the posts. One of the great things about locals is that there are no trolls, because you have to pay to comment. And it is actually one of the key parts of keeping the community a good place to be for everyone. It keeps the trolls out. They're not going to pay the $5 a month. So that's a really good feature. You also get 2 Zoom calls a week with me. You get, we do crafting bitches, stitching bitches. We're doing a debate club. We do a book club. I just launched a Discord, or actually I shouldn't say I launched it. A couple members of my locals community took matters into their own hands and launched me a Discord because I didn't know how to do it. And so, but they gave me a tutorial this week. I'm really excited about it. We're going to be building out the Discord, but this is only for local supporters. So if you want to get in there, if you want to get into the Discord, there's already a bunch of people in there. I'm told that when I get a lot of people in there, I can build a dungeon to put people in. And that sounds pretty cool to me. So you want to make sure you join my locals, and it does support the work I do, and I greatly appreciate it. And if you are a member of my YouTube channel, I will be making the Discord available for you as well. So don't worry. If you would just prefer to be a member on YouTube, that's totally fine. I'm going to be making the Discord available to you guys as well. But right now, it's just my local supporters. But I will be posting the link to YouTube channel members as well too, so you can join in the fun. But honestly, guys, if you want to be a member of my channel, get into locals, you're going to get to interact with me a lot more. I become friends with a lot of my locals members, and it's really, really great. All right, before we get started, make sure you download your Unwoke Bingo card. Where is the Unwoke Bingo card, you ask? Well, it's going to be in the description. Generate yourself an Unwoke Bingo card. All of the bingo cards are different. They're just for you. And this is just a little game we play as we watch our videos on Happy Hour just to pass the time, to kind of keep us sharp. Make sure we're listening. And the goal, of course, is to get a bingo. You get your free square in the middle, and then we're going to go for a line. Or if you get the 4 corners, that's just as good. And if you get a bingo, just type bingo into the chat. You don't win a dang thing. But again, this is for fun. It's for bragging rights. It helps us pass the time. And then once someone gets a bingo, we go for blackout bingo after that. And no one's gotten a blackout bingo yet. People have gotten close to getting blackout bingo, but no one's done it yet. So we're still waiting for the first blackout bingo. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anyone's gotten a blackout bingo yet. And maybe someday I'll come up with a surprise or something. And we can start giving out prizes. Zooms are okay as long as no one is tubing on my Zooms. Come on. We don't allow that nonsense. Come on. All right, let me bring up. So guys, we have a choice. Actually, let me just share this again. You guys can see the two options, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys about which Kimberle Crenshaw video we watch first. One option is I have this Race Today, a symposium on race in America that she did at UC, or I think at Brown University in 2015. So it's like 6 years ago. So this is a little bit of an older one, but I feel like it might be an important one. But then the other option I have is this live stream that she did on June 10th, 2021, Intersectionality in Action, a conversation with Professor Kimberle Crenshaw. So which one do you guys want to do? Do you want to do the old one or the new one? Type in the chat which one you want to do. And as you're typing it into the chat, I'm going to pour myself a beer. But I will leave it up to you guys. Old or new? Do you want the Kimberle Crenshaw video from 2015 or do you want the one she did in June? Let me know. This little beer right here, 10%. 10%. Okay, I see new, old, new. Both. I mean, we might do both. I mean, we're going to see how it goes, but we might do both on the stream. Don't worry about that. New. I think I'm seeing more news than olds. Oh, God. Oh, this beer smells so good. Let's see. Oh, my God. It's so beautiful. Oh, I love pouring nitro beer. This is a nitro beer, too, which nitro beers tend to just have more flavor to them, I find. No head on this one, though. Does smell like coconut. All right. I'm seeing on, I think most people want to watch the new one first, so we'll watch the new one first. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Look at that little tiny head. It smells like coconut, though. Oh, it smells so delicious. All right, we'll do the new one first. Oh my God, guys. Oh, it's so good. Someday I'm just going to do a beer tasting stream. I am. I love beer. I genuinely love it. It's not even about getting drunk because I don't drink that much. I just genuinely love like a really good beer. Oh my God. Oh. I didn't even know Southern Tier made these. If you have never had Southern Tier is one of my absolute favorite breweries. They just came out with their Pumpkin, which Pumpkin is the best pumpkin beer ever. It tastes just like pumpkin pie. It's so good. All right, let me set this up and we can get this stream started. So I have to set it up in a certain way. Beer is not gross. You just haven't found a beer that you like yet. It's okay. It happens. All right, let me see. Chrome, share audio, intersectionality in action. All right, gonna get my speaker set up. All right, who's ready to get this party started? If you're ready to watch Intersectionality in Action, a conversation with Professor Kimberle Crenshaw, go ahead and type Y into the chat. Let's see it. Why? All right, guys, let me know if you can hear the sound. And this one's only 50 minutes. It's only 50 minutes. That's why I say we might have time to watch more than one. All right, guys, let's get this party started.
A conversation with the incredible Professor Kimberle Crenshaw. So get comfortable, grab something to take notes. You can also feel free to live tweet at Ed Equity Talks, and we are going to drop
Equity
that link
Talks
in the chat.
All right.
Share all the gems, share all the notes, and connect with each other. The conversation is being recorded and will be made available when it's ready We've prepared some questions to get us going, but also we invite you to submit questions through the Q&A function. We'll do our best to get to as many of them as possible in the short amount of time that we have. And thank you, thank you, thank you. So without further delay, I'm going to welcome Professor Crenshaw. Thank you so much for saying yes to this conversation. The times we are in are so critical. And I was reflecting a couple of nights ago, when we landed on a date to do this, we didn't know that it would be so timely. So before we dive into questions and topics, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the good people who are gathered here today. I think I found out that you are an Ohio native.
Whoa, charmed! Holy crap! Charmed with the big super chat for your epic takedown of the WAPO fact checker. Yeah, thank you, Charmed. I greatly appreciate it and greatly appreciate your support as always. Yeah, guys, if you haven't seen how I skewered the Washington Post fact checker yesterday, I'm going to be really honest. It was a moment of glory. And it was one of those things too. I was like really impressed with myself. I was like watching this play out like in action. I felt like I was being a spy because I got him to tell me what he wanted, and I knew full well I was going to throw him under the bus because I knew he was up to something scandalous. But the Daily Wire covered it. Hey man, for as much I have to give the Daily Wire credit. I do. I have to just take a moment to give the Daily Wire credit because I shit on the Daily Wire a lot. I do. I shit on the Daily Wire a lot, and I don't think I'm wrong. I think I shit on the Daily Wire for like good reason. I want them to be better. But I also have to give them credit because they covered the story. As much as I shit on them, they still covered the story and they did it accurately. And that's actually better than a lot of conservative journalists have done that I've shit on in the past or that like don't like me for some reason because they won't even cover the story or they'll lie about me. But the Daily Wire did their jobs. They covered the story accurately. Thank you, Daily Wire, for covering the story accurately. I don't like all of you yet, but I like some of you more than I like others. All right. Nat D, they're beautiful, but they have crazy politics. Yeah. No. The Daily Wire deserves it. They should be better. When they stop being corporate shills, I will stop shitting on the Daily Wire. This is my deal to you guys. When the Daily Wire stops being blatant grifters and shills, I will stop shitting on the Daily Wire. When they start actually being productive and contributing to the fight that we have, then I will stop shitting on them. But as long as they are distracting from the fight that we have and making my life more difficult, I will continue to shit on them. But they did something right today. So we have to acknowledge when someone does something right, just as much as we shit on them when they do something wrong. All right, let's keep going.
You are a legal scholar, you are a teacher, you are a professor, you spend a lot of time at Columbia University and at UCLA. You're also the co-founder of the African American Policy Forum, this awesome think tank that brings together academics, activists, and policymakers to promote efforts to dismantle structural inequality. So that's just a little bit about what we know and what we can find out. But what do you want to tell the good people gathered here about who you are? Maybe something they might not be able to find out through a Google search.
Oh, that's a great place to start. Well, first of all, thank you so much for this invitation. And I am particularly excited to be having a conversation. It allows us to be more organic and present in the moment, which has its benefits as well as some of its challenges, particularly in this moment. What might people not know about me? Because you did mention Ohio. I am a person who loves gadgets. So this moment of doing all this work virtually has been fun for me because I can figure out new ways to use all of the technology that has helped us maintain the work through broadening our audiences. So our Truth Be Told campaign, our Intersectionality Matters podcast, our Under the Black Light series, that has been made possible by the new gadgetry around using the internet. So I'm
Gadgetry.
really excited about that. I guess the other thing is I really am a good eater, my friends tell me. So I love putting together amazing.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been saying that I should interview her, and I've seen her on other places, and I think that she's fabulous. And I'm just starting to put together. So, guys, for those of you who don't know, I basically spent the last 2.5 months like killing myself writing a book. And so I really wasn't doing a lot of interviews or guests or any of that because I was so focused on writing the book. The book is about fighting back against critical race theory and the woke and all that stuff. It's going to be coming out next year. I'm going to tell you guys more about it when I have that info. But I wasn't scheduling guests or anything, but I'm just starting to schedule guests again. So we'll see. Maybe I'll reach out and we can have a chat. And if there's anyone else you guys want me to talk to, and really, I'm much more interested, to be honest, in talking to like normal people that aren't like, media people. So if there's anyone else you guys want me to chat with, let me know. Yeah, the finger snaps,
meals,
the finger snaps.
going places,
Okay.
traveling around the world. If I leave a country and I haven't gotten a spice or a tea that is really that country's sort of signature thing, I feel like a failure. So those are two things you might not know about me.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna let you know next time I travel to where you are, Professor.
Okay.
I might join you there and just invite myself over.
Don't have to invite yourself, just drop the note.
Okay, so side note, apparently, okay, not that I'm telling anyone to leave this stream because this stream is important, but I know after this stream is done, I'm going to be tuning into Slightly Offensives. Apparently they figured out. So if you guys didn't catch Elijah Schaefer's show the other day when apparently someone prank phone called him saying they were from American Airlines and that he was banned from flying with them for 3 years. And it was it seemed super real. And then it was there were parts that were really real and there were parts that were really fake. And he couldn't figure out whether or not this was a real thing or if it was someone pranking him. But apparently they have figured it out. And they're doing an episode right now unmasking the prankster behind it. So I'm going to be tuning into that. But honestly, I was on the floor laughing hysterically at this prank phone. It was really good. So you guys, if you haven't caught up on that, I highly recommend it.
Tell me when you're around.
Yay, thank you. So for the audience, I think we had about 700 plus, maybe 800 people registered for this webinar. We are not going to go into all the details of what critical race theory and intersectionality are.
Yes, I did see this Matt Walsh tweet, and I very nearly retweeted and was like, Matt, how's your Cameras in Classrooms initiative going? But I didn't. I refrained. For everyone who thinks I take on every fight or fight every battle, I refrained. I did not.
And we are instead going to share some resources in the chat so people have time to dive into those concepts for themselves if they need to. But for the purpose of our conversation today, I want to lift up a quote taken straight from the African American Policy Forum website that I felt captures the essence of these concepts and theories really, really well. And when I was reviewing that passage, it really talked about how for so long we've had this narrowed conceptualization of racial inequality. And I'm going to read the quote so I don't like misquoting things. So critical race theory and intersectionality have produced wide range bodies of knowledge to uncover how racial domination is produced, naturalized, and contested within the law, which we often forget, public policy, and a wide variety of institutional and social locations. And then he goes on to say, critical race theory and intersectionality have also modeled modes of collaboration, exchange, and collective analysis that stand in sharp contrast to the individuated understandings of social inequality that rule most disciplines and institutions today. And I will argue that public education and the sector of philanthropy are two of those disciplines and institutions.
I have no problem with Matt Walsh saying that kids shouldn't be in public schools. I have great problem when Matt Walsh tried to hijack and actually did hijack the cameras in classrooms thing to use for his own purpose, and then completely seemed to forget about it. When everyone thought that Matt Walsh was going to be the great and glorious leader of putting cameras in classrooms, Matt Walsh forgot about it after a week. And when he was tweeting about public schools yesterday and how awful they are, which he's correct about that, didn't mention cameras at all because he was just using it for attention. And in the meantime, skewered like shit that I was working on. So this is what happens when you trust people like Matt fucking Walsh, man. Like the skewer of fucking progress right there.
That are governed by social inequality. So basically, the way I interpret that is that critical race theory and intersectionality provide us with the frameworks, the theories,
it does not count with that.
tools that we need to be able to reckon with race.
Bodies counts when they say black or brown bodies, not bodies of knowledge. No cheating on honorary woke, unwoke bingo.
Racism to understand and analyze the ways in which inequality is reproduced in various forms so that we can indeed imagine and realize the dismantling of oppressive systems and structures. Mm-hmm. That's the work that
it's all good, man.
Strive to do at Nellie Mae, and that's the work that many of the organizations and school systems that we support purport to do. Would you like to add anything to how we should understand critical race theory and intersectionality?
Yes, Kimberly, how should we understand it?
Well, thank you. Thank you for lifting up that quote. I guess maybe what might be helpful, I mean, because that's sort of the conclusion of a journey, right? Mm-hmm. Of understanding the arenas in which racial power has functioned and how those arenas shape racial disparity outside of philanthropy and education. So maybe just a little bit of historicizing. I'll put my own trajectory inside of that.
Kimberly's going to tell us about her lived experience is what's going to go on. She's going to talk about her lived experience.
Is situated in those spaces. So I consider myself a child of the civil rights movement. I'm at the tail end of the baby boom generation. During the time in which I was actually on this planet, we moved from a society that was formally and normatively organized around the idea of white supremacy to a society that has formally repudiated the idea of white supremacy, and yet institutionally is still grappling with what that repudiation actually looks like materially inside of our institutions. So in a sense, if you think about racial.
I want to give a special shout out to Kieran and Roddy, two of my locals members who are having their own happy hour in London as we speak. Yay, Kieran and Roddy.
Justice as a relay race, and each generation sort of runs around the track and passes the baton on to the next. I consider myself that generation that was passed the baton of, all right, we have fought for and achieve the breaking down of the white only signs. Now you are in these institutions. Your turn is to run the race and light the way as to where and how the commitment to dismantle discrimination and segregation and white supremacy actually takes place inside the institutions.
The commitment to dismantle. Dismantle is an interesting word, isn't it? Why might I be honing in on that word where she's explicitly saying to dismantle? Prejudice and white supremacy. Why would I be honing it like? And this is like I want to make sure you guys are on your toes. Why would I specifically be honing in on her saying that you need to dismantle white supremacy? Why, like, because that like taken by itself is not a controversial thing, right? Like no one wants white supremacy. I don't want white supremacy. You don't want white supremacy. But what do we think she means when she says dismantle white supremacy? What do you think she means? Go ahead, chat in your answer.
So we did the sit-ins outside. You guys are in there. Now what is it that you see that needs to be attended to. And that, basically comes from having seen the civil rights movement play out in front.
Yeah, charmed. Yep. Oh, you guys are so good. You guys are so good. Okay. Let me see who got it first. Hang on. Dismantle equals Marxism, not explicitly for Bell, but this is where Crenshaw comes in. Yep, that's right. Because only Marxists go on and on about dismantling every goddamn thing. They want to dismantle the USA. That's correct. This is not a white supremacist culture, for crying out loud. Yeah. They're linking it to CRT and dismantling the system. That's right. Anytime you guys hear, so I almost wanted to do, so I almost was going to do a webinar today about like whiteness is property, because that's what they perceive this as. Like, whiteness is property, right? So what are they doing right now? They're going after landlords. Like, are landlords fundamentally bad people? No. But they're going to say, like, because they own property, they're the big bad white supremacists, right? And so that's what they're equating it to. Whiteness is property in their eyes. They also don't believe in individual property rights. And what they associate that with is ultimately, at the end of the day, they're going to back themselves into capitalism is white supremacy. That's what that means. So anytime you hear them think white or say white supremacy, you have to think that they're saying the system. You have to think they're saying capitalism. They basically want to dismantle the fundamental like system that we have in this country so that they can build it up in their little Marxist image. Well, she's obviously a white supremacist super patriot because Kimberle Crenshaw says so.
Front of our eyes, see the how hard fought some of these door openings were.
Multiracial whiteness
of lawyers and educators.
They're gonna say he's like ascended to whiteness, or he's trying to like align himself with whiteness or something like that. Multiracial whiteness.
In particular, in opening up the pathways, and frankly, seeing in my own household, Thurgood Marshall was, the first Supreme Court justice, the man that argued Brown versus Board of Education. He was a hero in the same way Martin Luther King was. In my home, opening up education and the power of knowledge production was as important as the ability to vote. So recognizing that the torch had to move into these other spaces was almost, I learned that on the knee of my parents. But learning it and doing it are two really different things.
Oh my
God. So the short thing that I'll say on that is that I think sometimes we, and by that I mean educators, aren't seen as being on the front lines in the same ways that those who are demanding the end of police brutality or the end of vote suppression are seen. But in reality, the struggle over the production of knowledge, what counts as knowledge, who can be the subjects of knowledge, to what degree does dismantling the past require us to dismantle the knowledge production processes in order to open up these spaces to people for whom the space was not initially constructed? Those are cutting edge questions.
For whom the space was not originally constructed. What does she mean by that? See, we've done enough happy hours now that I feel like I can quiz you guys and make sure that everyone is on the same level of understanding. What does Kimberle Crenshaw mean when she says for people for whom the space was not originally constructed? Because this is something that's going to be taught to kids in schools. They might say it isn't, but it is. Dismantling the past. Yeah, dismantle capitalism. Not what I'm getting at, but keep going. What does Kimberle Crenshaw mean when she says that a space for people for whom it was not originally constructed? Yes, Ernie's got it. She means that the space was constructed only for white people. That's exactly right. So what critical race theorists and these types of people think is that white people only ever created stuff for the benefit of other white people. This is like the very basis of everything Robin DiAngelo has like ever said and done, is the idea that white people will only create and do things that benefit other white people. Back to the very founding of the country. And they also say that like whiteness is something that was invented in America, because when white people came over from Europe, they didn't call themselves white then. They only started calling themselves white. It's socially constructed when they came to America, because they were trying to distinguish between white and black as a way to reinforce the white power structure, and that white people have only ever constructed systems that support other white people. That is the very premise that they're going on. Of course, that's not true, but that's the premise that they're going on.
Yes.
Yes.
And now that we're in this moment when there's so much pushback on the knowledge that did get produced. I mean, yeah, we got into these colleges and universities, but what was really important is what came out of our entry. So we got,
Yeah, we got into the colleges and universities. I mean, we're going to say that they only were built to support other white people, but yeah, we got into it. Let's hear what came out of it, Kimberly.
ethnic studies and Black studies. We got feminist studies. We got queer studies. We got critical race theory. This is what came out of integrating these institutions and then allowing those students and participants to say, it's not enough to let us in. Now we have to think about how to rethink what these institutions do. For so long, they've helped facilitate exclusion. They've naturalized oppression. Now that we're here, the mission should be, how do we correct for those things that knowledge producing as educational?
She's basically arguing that the only reason that universities got integrated was to dismantle white supremacy. Holy shit. Like what? Okay, so let's just play this out. Let's play this out. I'm just gonna make a note about the timestamp for this. So I'm gonna go back and clip this later. So let's just play this out. So in the minds of critical race theorists, white people only ever do things that benefit other white people, right? That's the basis of their argument. And then on top of that, she's saying, well, they let us into universities and they let us build all these departments and all these other areas of study. And specifically, the purpose of those areas of study is just to dismantle white supremacy. Well, why? If the entire premise of your argument is that white people only ever do things to benefit other white people, then why on earth would they have let you into the universities to build these departments in the first place? Those two things are completely contradictory ideas. They let you in, the universities got integrated because it was a social change movement. It was like the right thing to do, because they were actually reducing the amount of racism that existed in the country. Like, the culture changed, as it should have. It was the right thing to do. But to argue on one hand that white people only ever do things to benefit other white people, and on the other hand to argue that like they let us into the universities and then we started to dismantle them, like one would not have happened if the other was true. It just doesn't make any sense.
Institutions help to create, and how do we open up these pathways for greater inclusion across society? That's what we were able to do, I think, in the last couple decades, and that's where the source of so much backlash, I think that's why so much of the backlash is taking place around education.
Yes, ma'am.
No, the backlash.
Thank you. You are giving us an education.
The backlash is taking place because you are completely rewriting history and lying to people all the way down to them being 4 years old and being taught nonsense. That is why the backlash is taking place, Kimberly.
And thank you for taking us back to that journey. I believe in the concept of Sankofa and understanding who we are and where we've been and from which we came, in order to make meaning of the present and inform the future. Thank you for that. So powerful. And you just went straight to my second question, right? Which is really this moment we are in. And the powerful questions that you are putting on the table now are speaking to the resistance and the fear, to the rethinking, the reimagining, the dismantling, right, that you just named.
Hang on. I want to make sure I get Britt's super chat, which just disappeared off my screen. There it is. Britt, thank you for the super chat. Keep being you and keep pointing out the insanity of this stuff. I greatly appreciate it, Britt. Thank you.
And across the country, we are seeing all kinds of things. I can't open my social media page without seeing something about critical race theory and a new definition of critical race theory every day, all day long.
What's the definition?
And we're seeing these dangerous
definition?
attacks on racial
Dangerous
justice,
attacks
right?
on racial justice.
We are seeing conservatives and members of the right who are taking the terminology and weaponizing it as a catch-all term for any conversation about race.
Nope, that's patently untrue. Does anyone know what the definition of critical race theory is? Well, you guys only get a couple hundred characters in the chat, so I'll just tell you, critical race theory is an academic ideology that started in the 1970s that says racism exists everywhere in every person, in every interaction, in every institution, in every system, and that the job of the critical race theorist is to explore how racism occurred in any given circumstance, not if racism occurred, how racism occurred in any given circumstance. That is a shorthand version of the definition that was constructed by James Lindsay on New Discourses, and it's something that I find is actually really effective. It explores one of the key tenets of critical race theory, which is that racism is always assumed to have occurred. You will not have any interaction in which they do not assume racism has occurred, and that their job is to identify how the racism occurred, which means they're only playing into their own confirmation bias.
Racism, wokeness, right? Like basically, we shouldn't teach the truth. We shouldn't teach history at all. We shouldn't teach children and young people to consume and critique information. But like you and I were talking about yesterday, this is not just a Southern or conservative phenomenon, right? Even in so-called liberal progressive New England, we are seeing bills in state legislature,
New Hampshire,
in New Hampshire and Rhode Island that seek to ban the teaching of structural racism. And
no, it does not seek to ban the teaching of structural racism. That is a flat out lie. Both those bills, because both those bills were the same. The Rhode Island bill was based off the New Hampshire bill. The Rhode Island bill was never going to go anywhere. The New Hampshire bill got completely watered down and destroyed by my Republican governor. But that's not true. That is blatantly not true. The bill actually had provisions in it that you could teach whatever the F you wanted. You just couldn't advocate for any particular position. So she's lying. Let's see what Kimberle Crenshaw has to say.
And the use of critical race theory as a frame. People want to know, how are you making meaning? I mean, you've given us a little bit already in your last response, but how are you making meaning of what's happening in the landscape and across the country? And do you have specific messages for educators, young people, and policymakers who find themselves in the midst of this?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And, you know, I want to specifically thank you for framing the question, what do we make of the attack? Because in fact, so many of the questions that we've received have in some ways participated in the attack by asking, so what is it about this critical race theory that is, you know, it has set so many people on edge, rather than what is it about the attack that has contributed to institutions that traditionally support the idea of the free expression of ideas and intellectual inquiry to at least not oppose this. And in some ways,
you still have the ability to freely express ideas and to explore ideas. The problem with critical race theory, especially when it's taught in schools, is that it does not allow for dissent. So it is critical race theory itself, or the teaching of the key tenets of critical race theory in practice or praxis, whatever you want to call it. Like it is critical race theory itself that does not allow for the free exploration of ideas. Because anytime that anyone of any skin color dissents from critical race theory, what do they say? They say that is just evidence of your fragility, or that is just evidence of your multiracial whiteness, or whatever excuse they want to say. It is critical race theory itself that does not allow for dissent, for free thought, for freedom of inquiry, for free expression of ideas. That is the problem.
Participate in it. And so I start there. I start with historicizing what these kind of attacks are about, why we've seen this before, and why it's such a puzzle that it's taken so long for people to actually comprehend what is really happening. So two things just for starters, let's remember that the control of the frame, the control of the ability to communicate.
Well, Tony says, and this is a fair point, also CRT is unfounded pseudoscience, ideological garbage that doesn't belong in foundational education. I mean, I agree with that, but I also think that, like, listen, in like, if they want to explore this on the university level, if they want to do research into this thing, if they want to publish fake papers that can be disproven, I actually don't have a problem with that. Where I start to have a problem is when they don't allow for any dissent from their ideas. That is fundamentally antithetical to everything that we're talking about. The fact that they stifle this would be significantly less of a problem to me if they did not explicitly stifle dissent as part of their ideology, if people actually could be in a place to disagree with them. Because what happens now is if anyone asks any questions, they're just labeled fragile, they're labeled an oppressor, they're told they're contributing to systemic racism, they're called a white supremacist and a racist. Like, it doesn't allow for any free dissent or discussion of ideas. That means they're fundamentally like building a system in which you cannot question them ever. That is the danger of this ideology, is it reinforces groupthink.
Communicate. The control over knowledge about racial oppression has always been one of the go-to features of those who want to sustain and maintain an inequitable status quo. So let's just remember, for example, that abolitionist literature over a century and a half ago was in many states criminalizable. It was punishable. Let's remember that Southern states were fairly powerful in our national Congress, and they were able to mobilize federal law to make it difficult, if not impossible, to share literature that ran counter to the lies that were told about enslavement and about enslaved people. Let's also remember that the slave...
It's such a mind fuck for me to watch this stuff, because it's like I can't go back and I can't go back and try to suss out every single lie I've been told throughout my entire life by the left and by the media. And it's like, when I hear stuff like this, I'm kind of like, part of it, like, she's talking about the southern states and like stifling dissent and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, well, they shouldn't have really done that. But part of me is like, is that what really happened? Because I don't think that's what really happened. I mean, when I was doing research for my book, what I basically found out is that the Democrats started using racism as a talking point when the southern states started turning Republican. So what happened, and this started happening in like the 60s and the 70s, is that the southern states used to be Democratic, and then they started turning more and more and more Republican, and by the time we get into the 80s, like, the southern states are solidly Republican. Well, that all coincided with the rise of people talking about the right or the Republicans as being racists. And it was simply because the southern states were turning away from the Democrats and were turning more Republican. And so it's like, I don't know when they're weaponizing things versus when, like, they're making legitimate grievances anymore. And to be honest, like, I don't really care, because we have to deal with where we are now and how we move forward. But it is like a mind fuck for me when I watch stuff like this and I'm like, is that the truth? I don't even remember. That was what I was taught, but I don't know if that's actually the truth. It's so crazy.
Enslaved people themselves were not permitted to even read. Mm-hmm. What is it about suppressing the capacity to think and to read and to debate the conditions under which African people lived under? What is it about that moment that we can read into this one? Mm-hmm. So, number one, we should remember that liberationist ideas and research and even the capacity to think about the condition has always been framed by those who want to support.
I don't know, Casper. Like I said, like, honestly, like, I actually do, like, I'm sorry, like, and I've talked to conservatives about this, and they won't say it publicly, but they'll say it offline after they've had a beer or two. They say, yeah, there are people on the right that are a little bit racist, and that are using this moment to behave overtly racist. So I do not buy Dinesh D'Souza's argument that the Republicans are just completely innocent and they're just like becoming less racist. I'm sorry, I've seen it directly. Okay, so I don't buy that. But I also don't buy this argument that the Democrats are like just the paragons of virtue and justice. I mean, the truth is somewhere in the middle.
The status quo as divisive, as perverse, even as un-American. So in one way, we just have to put a historical lens on to say, like Malcolm X was often known as saying, racism comes up with a new model every year. Well, the repression of discourse about freedom is packaged in a new way every year. And now the anti-racism is the package of the moment. I think we also should realize that there's specific substantive moves that have always been part of the effort to push back on those and in those moments in which anti-racism has come to the fore in our own.
Yeah, absolutely, Silvery Gray. I will absolutely say that the Democrats play the race card to whip people up. I've said that repeatedly, and I that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think they use it to gain more power, because it's the thing that riles people up like nothing else. But that doesn't mean that there aren't people on the right who are actually racist. And I think it's the problem's getting worse, and the coverage of critical race theory is making the problem worse. And this is why I will not say, no matter if you hold a gun to my head, no matter what you do, I will never, ever, 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 ever say critical race theory is anti-white, because it is a much bigger picture than that. There are anti-white components, but there are also anti-black components. There are anti-Hispanic components. There are anti-Asian components. Critical race theory is anti anyone who disagrees with critical race theory. I will never say it is anti-white purely because I think it is spinning up actual white supremacy on the right. I've seen evidence of it. I've talked about it extensively on this channel. I got attacked by thousands of white supremacists for it. So there is this problem on the right, and the right is going to have to reckon with that problem eventually. And to be honest with you, I'm really terrified about what's going to happen when they do. I am legitimately scared about what happens when the right starts to reckon with what is going on their side, because right now they're not inclined to do it. And I think it's to the detriment of all of us.
In my own lifetime, the civil rights movement was framed as reverse discrimination against white people who did not want to sit beside Black people in public accommodations, against waiters and store owners who would say, well, forcing me to serve people of color is violating my civil rights. This is discrimination against me. I mean, even at the end of the Civil War, our own Supreme Court said that race-based civil rights laws were reverse discrimination. It took away from white people to give to the freedmen. So the ability to turn anti-racism on its head, the ability to generate resentment and insecurity among those who feel that that maintaining the status quo is a zero-sum game. Namely, white folks who have opposed these moments throughout history. The ability to frame it as reverse discrimination is that.
See, I don't think conservatives help their cause here, if I'm honest, because conservatives need to present some sort of vision for what they want to do with the country, what they want to give to people, how they want to help people, how they want to support people. Because, Kimberle Crenshaw is basically saying that the reason that white people don't like critical race theory or intersectionality or anti-racism or any of these things is because they're afraid, because they're just trying to conserve the ideals of the 50s that were never really the ideals of the 50s. That's what she's saying. And the reason that she can say that is because conservatives have absolutely, abjectly failed to provide any sort of forward-looking vision for what they want to do in this country. The GOP platform has not been updated since 2012. And we can rationalize that. We can say, well, they didn't update it in 2016 because they didn't really want Trump to be president. And so they kind of just let it ride from 2012. And then in 2020, they didn't have a convention and you update platforms at conventions. But the fact of the matter is that the GOP platform has not been updated in almost 10 years. And they're not giving any forward-looking vision. I don't know what they want to do. I don't know what they want to do for the country. You can say we want to take government out of it all you want, but the libertarians are presenting a vision. The Mises Caucus within the Libertarian Party has presented more of a forward-looking vision than the GOP. And when the GOP fucks around and doesn't take this seriously, what they do is they enable people like Kimberle Crenshaw to say, well, they just want to conserve ideals from the 50s. They are supporting this. The GOP is going to get so much smarter about how they're operating. It absolutely drives me crazy. I just did this conversation last night with Truman on my channel, and we talked about some of my tactics that people might find offensive, like when I yell at people or block people or anything like that. But one of the things we talked about was this exact idea, was that we're pissed off at the GOP for not taking this seriously. And part of the reason we know they don't take it seriously is they haven't updated their damn platform in almost 10 years. Like, they've got to get it together. Because when they don't do it, when they don't take it seriously, when they're not proactive, they give people like Kimberle Crenshaw all the ammo that she needs. It's so stupid. They've got to start playing chess instead of checkers.
That's as American as his apple pie.
Yes.
So I think, giving people a prism so that they can read this moment through the lens of there's almost never anything new.
No, they're not.
Mhm.
Not the Mises Caucus. Not the Mises
So now
Caucus.
the package is critical race theory, which, if you actually ask people, what is it, you'll get a million different responses.
Critical race theory is an ideology that started in academia in the 1970s that says racism exists everywhere in every person, in every system, in every interaction. And the job of the critical race theorist is to suss out how, not if, how racism occurred in any given circumstance. Racism is always assumed to have occurred, Kimberle Crenshaw.
And almost none of it will reflect any significant effort to respond directly to the ideas. What it is a making up of ideas. Like critical race theory says all white people, are morally, compromised people.
No, it doesn't say that. Critical race theory says all white people are racist. Ibram X. Kendi has said that. Robin DiAngelo has said that. Even Kimberle Crenshaw has said that. So Kimberle Crenshaw is literally making shit up right now.
People, or critical race theory sows hatred and resentment to the United States. They will make that stuff up. They won't be able to point to any writing in among critical race theorists that says that. So we also have to remember that that distortion is part of misinformation.
Hang on. Gosh, sorry. Hang on. I'm coughing, but I was also reaching down for my copy of this book, which is sitting on my floor. Let's take a look at page, I believe it's 51. I want to say it's 51. Is it 51? Please let it be 51. Yes, it is. So I'm on page 51 of White Fragility, and I'm going to read this line right here. So Kimberle Crenshaw said, no critical race theorists have ever said that. That just hasn't happened. That is it. Yeah, exactly, Zach. Zach, I am choking on lies. I'm choking on lies and deceit. I don't have COVID. Stop spreading fake news. The beer just went down the wrong pipe. All right, I'm reading from page 51 of White Fragility right now. It's under a heading called Belonging. I was born into a culture in which I belonged racially. Indeed, the forces of racism were shaping me even before I took my first breath. If I were born in a hospital, regardless of the decade in which I was born, any hospital would be open to me because my parents were white. If my parents attended a childbirth preparation class, the instructor was most likely white. The videos they watched in class most likely depicted white people and their fellow classmates. And basically, Robin DiAngelo right here is saying that she's been racist since the womb. She's saying that. This is in White Fragility on page 51. Indeed, the forces of racism were shaping me before I took my first breath. That's what she's saying, Kimberle Crenshaw. You're saying Robin DiAngelo isn't a critical race theorist? In the book.
Nation. And when you ask then, Elaine, what should we suggest that parents and teachers do? I think parents and teachers, number one, should ask a question, which I call consider the source. Many of these foundations and legal defense funds and spokespersons are people who would want to convince you that the election was stolen. They'd want to convince you that the attack on the Capitol was just tourists taking a look around to see, the seat of government. They are those who want to convince you that there is no such thing as climate change. They want to convince you that the Civil War was a war of northern aggression. I mean, look at all of the things that are part of this panoply of ideas that are meant to advance a particular sense of grievance and a particular way of thinking about defending the republic through aggressive, truly un-American ideas, and understand that if they're going to tell you a lie about all the things that you know are not true, then they're also going to tell you a lie about what's happening in schools, a lie about what is anti-racial.
Well, we are actually showing hard documentation of what's happening in schools, Kimberly, but I do find it really, really convenient that every single person that you happen to politically disagree with throughout history is just a liar. I do find that really, really convenient. So you are the bastion of truth. I've already called you out on a lie in the last 5 minutes of this video.
Racism and a lie about what's good for our country.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And the question that you're bringing up for me is, why are they so good at it? Right? Like we've been talking about this notion of like organized demand. Right?
You think the right is good at it? Like, these people are nuts. The left is way better. Like, but you know what? Here's the thing. Like, when I was on the left, I used to actually think this. I really did. I thought the Democrats sucked at organizing. I was like, why does the right win all the effing time? So I understand the perspective here. But the fact of the matter is, if you think that January 6th was an organized thing, you are absolutely out of your ever-loving mind. My husband was watching that on C-SPAN as it occurred, and he was like, Carlin, what the hell is even going on? I was like, Victor, I have no effing idea. I showed up for a rally. Like, it's like, it is the craziest idea in the world that someone can look at the right as it is right now and think this is a well-coordinated effort. It's basically a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off. No one knows what's going on. There's no leader. There's no direction. There's no vision. They're in constant reactionary state to whatever the effing left is doing. It's absurd.
And like, it's not just demand, like how do we organize, and how do we organize very intentionally? Because power and white supremacy will never concede, right?
Power and white supremacy will never concede.
Yeah. My co-founder, Luke Harris, has just a quip that he says all the time. It's like, for the other side, is like rolling a ball down a hill. The hill is already there. It is a hill that is naturalized and built on top of a history of specific kinds of policies, practices, and cultural understandings of racial inequality that many people just see as just there. And interrupting that is like going against gravity. It is, actually trying to create dams and interventions that take the built-in dimensions of power and redirect it. So civil rights legislation is always going to stand out as disruptive because we take as a given the way our institutions.
Actually, I'm very much in favor of civil rights legislation. I'm very much in favor of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, 74, 64. I've had a 10% alcohol beer already, so if I forget a date, whatever. But I'm not opposed to civil rights legislation. For the record, I'm not opposed to it. I am opposed to the state of California trying to repeal a law that says that they can't discriminate based on race, which actually happened in 2020. If you guys remember, the state of California was trying to repeal a law that said 64. Thank you, Diane. The state of California was trying to repeal a law that said that they could not discriminate based on race. Because why are they trying to repeal that? Because the state of California wants to discriminate based on race. I am opposed to that. I don't think we should be discriminating based on race. Call me crazy. I just think that white people should be able to count in that equation. I don't think anyone should be discriminated against based on the color of the skin with which they were born.
institutions function without those interruptions, right? So that's why President Johnson in 1866 said giving African Americans civil rights is reverse discrimination. Why? Because
President
the
Johnson?
baseline, the existing
President Johnson. Hang on.
We take as a given the way our institutions function without those interruptions, right? So that's why President Johnson in 1866 said giving African Americans civil rights is reverse discrimination. Why?
Okay, 1866. Okay. Can someone look that up? I was like, Lyndon Johnson said that? Like, what? I thought she was talking about Lyndon Johnson. What president was she talking about? Like, I don't and what part? Can someone Google who she was talking about and what party that person was in, please? Because we all know Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He was not a Democrat. Andrew Johnson. Thank you. Fucking Andrew Johnson. The big block of cheese in the White House guy.
Because the baseline, the existing
LBJ was such a racist. LBJ was such a racist. This is totally true. LBJ was like, he just wanted to pander to the black community to get their votes. That's it. That was the only reason that LBJ supported the Civil Rights Act, was to get the vote of black Americans. That's it. He was an incredible racist. Like, legitimately. No, he wasn't like the worst of the worst or anything, but that guy was racist. I'm sorry. Like, in a real way, not in like an SJW way.
What and how opportunity is distributed, that was taken as neutral, natural, and just there.
Mm-hmm. Was Andrew Johnson a Democrat or a Republican? I forget. Hang on. Can someone Google if Andrew Johnson was... Yeah, he was definitely the first to be impeached, but like... Oh, Jai is sending me something. Hang on. He was a Democrat. Yeah, Andrew Johnson was a Democrat. That's what I thought. Then you guys in the chat confused me.
And the interruptions are seen as, well, that's the change. That's the thing that's going against the grain. Mm-hmm. And that going against the grain is what anti-racism is about. That's saying,
that makes sense.
You know, it's not just colorblindness that people were marching for. It's not just colorblindness that Linda Brown's parents were suing to disrupt.
So it was Andrew Jackson who was the first to be impeached. Andrew Johnson was the 17th president of the United States, serving from 1865 to 1869. He assumed the presidency as he was the vice president at the time of Lincoln's assassination. Johnson was a Democrat who ran with Lincoln on the National Union ticket, coming to office as the Civil War concluded. Andrew Johnson was a Democrat. He was a Democrat. I don't remember if Andrew Jackson was a massive racist. Andrew Jackson had a giant block of cheese in the foyer of the White House. So Andrew Jackson couldn't have been all bad. He had a giant block of cheese in the White House.
Unequal substantive message and reality that segregation produced, which was unequal education opportunities. Mm-hmm. So however those unequal opportunities are created, whether through explicit race categorization or from allowing patterns of segregation to decide.
Guys, just as a reminder, I'm simulcasting in 4 different locations. I'm on my main channel, Karlin Borisenko. I am on my second YouTube channel, Actively Unwoke, because I think that this stream will be moving to Actively Unwoke at some point in the future, and I just want to have it in both places in the meantime. I'm also on Odyssey. I am on Rockfin. So you might be looking at the chat on the Actively Unwoke YouTube channel, and you might not see everything I see because I'm seeing the chat from both the main YouTube channel and Actively Unwoke at the same time, because that's how StreamYard works. But if you are on my main YouTube channel, please subscribe to my second YouTube channel, youtube.com/activelyunwoke. And please make sure you smash that like button, mount that like button, whatever you want to do to that like button. You can like it. You can like the like button in whatever way you want. I don't really care. And as a reminder, when you join my locals community, you are going to get access to our new Discord server, and I will be putting the link to join my locals community in the chat. I hope to see you guys there.
Which groups are best served and which groups are not by education. Those are all problems of the history of racial segregation and white supremacy in our country. So it's harder to allow people to read the social landscape than it is for them to see it as just there and be willing to go along with it. So it is easier for the side that's defending an unequitable status quo to say to people, you worked hard for everything you got. Your grandfather came here with nothing, and now you're pretty well positioned. Our country works. Well, of course, people, it's easier to do that when you haven't really told them all of the ways that it didn't work for people who were locked out.
It's not as though people have never learned about slavery. It's not as though people have never learned about the civil rights movement. I was taught all this stuff in school. I don't know where these people are getting the idea that this stuff was never taught. That's just patently untrue. I want to thank Dragon Water for that super chat. Thank you, Dragon Water. Your support is always appreciated. And Naruto, president and VP, used to be opposing parties. Wouldn't it be nice? It sounds kind of like Brett Weinstein's Unity ticket idea, doesn't it? I'm about to open my second 10% beer, guys. What could possibly go wrong? I'm already feeling a little tipsy. Whatever. It's Friday. Let's keep going.
Of receiving $120 billion of housing support, that were locked out of traditionally white universities and colleges, were wiped out and locked out from professional classes, and even wiped out from being firemen and policemen until well into the 70s and late 80s. So you gotta be able to have an archaeological approach to the ground on which we stand. Critical race theory, anti-racism, structural racism. These are archaeological tools that allow us to look underneath the foundations of current society and say, hey, there's a story here. It's harder to tell, but when people are told it, like we saw last summer, people are willing to say, oh, right, this is not.
When you tell one perspective of the story, you're not telling the full story. You're telling one perspective of the story. And listen, like, I'm not unsympathetic to the ideas that they have, but I mean, the fact is they just eliminate anything that doesn't support their own confirmation bias. Dragon Water again says, much appreciation for Carlin. You rock. Thank you, Dragon Water. You always go above and beyond, and I'm very grateful for you.
Not consistent with our deeper values. I am going to join a protest. I am going to recommit to the ideals of our Constitution. And that activation, that recognition that millions of people all over the country can be activated and motivated to demand better of our society, that is the crux of the backlash. And it's now time to roll out all of the old tropes and mobilize that insecurity and resentment against this thing that they are calling critical race
theory. I like that. This thing that they're calling.
This thing that they're calling, as though we don't know what. And this is how you know these people are not intellectually honest, because they cannot even wrap their heads around the fact that we know exactly what they're talking about. We watch their stuff all the time. They're saying, like, you just have to educate yourself and listen to Black voices. Well, we're listening to Black voices right now. We have been for the last hour and 13 minutes. And we know exactly what you're saying. We've deciphered it. We've decoded it. It's not a goddamn mystery. You people are trying to dismantle the GD system. That's what you're doing. Everything, like, guys, like, the one and only thing that you need to wrap your head around is the idea that everything that they are doing is designed to dismantle capitalism. That is it. Once you wrap your head around that idea, everything else starts to make more sense. But it's that one nugget of information. Everything they are doing is to dismantle capitalism. That is it. That's what you need to know. Naruto says, fun fact, LBJ in 55 led the campaign against the Republican Civil Rights Act. Of course he did, because politics. I hate politics so much. I hate politics so so much. I can't even tell you. Dragonwater said, these women are disgusting hypocrites. Maybe disgusting? Well, disgusting as well, I suppose.
Critical race theory.
Mhm.
Okay, I have a million questions. We have some coming through.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, I bet they're getting lots of questions. They haven't even said anything of GD substance. Have either of them defined critical race theory? Has anyone noticed that neither of them have defined critical race theory in the course of this conversation? Literally neither of them. But they're saying we don't know how to define it. Okay. Give me an alternate definition then. Give me some alternate facts, ladies.
The Q&A, I'm going to try to marry some of them.
Okay.
And one question, I think folks are hungry for perhaps some concrete suggestions, right? And there's a set of questions around, okay, how do we help? I'm going to frame it as folks who are making decisions on behalf of our young people and communities, right? So thinking about education commissioners, thinking about school boards, thinking about administrators. How do we support them in standing strong to teach our students the reality of America's?
How do we support school boards and teachers to stand strong and teach reality? Well, if you're teaching it in Idaho, Iowa, Tennessee, Texas, Florida, kind of New Hampshire, but not really. If you're teaching it in any of these states, like if you're teaching critical race theory in any of these states, you're literally breaking the law. Literally breaking the law.
History of racial.
Let's see what Kimberle has to say about supporting breaking the law.
Is protest our best tool to get there?
Probably.
Well, let us historicize this question as well. Protest is not the only tool. Let's put it that way. And let's also recognize that without protest, historically, there hasn't been a real robust effort to have the difficult conversations that we need to have in all of our institutions, I would say, in philanthropy as well as education. So we are fully aware that progress, transformative interventions happen when I've called it sort of frame alignment, when basically folks from the White House all the way down, to the outhouse are basically seeing a problem similarly. There's never going to be complete and total congruence.
All right, Deborah Evans, I wonder what the structure of the system that they want to put in place would look like and what their roles will be within that structure. What would their places be their places of power? I think, Deborah, this is a really good question, but I think we can all assume they're not going to put themselves out of power. Of course they're not. Of course they're not. And this is also why I think it's so insane, the argument that that like white people only want to maintain power for other white people. Who came up with the idea of critical race theory? Who came up with and continues to support the idea, like this whole idea? I'm sorry, a lot of the support comes from liberal, rich, white academics. Peggy McIntosh is the woman who wrote the original essay, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack, which invented the idea of white privilege. Peggy McIntosh is a rich white lady. Like, do you really think for any moment that rich white people are going to put themselves in positions where they are taking themselves out of power? I don't think they are, but that's just me. Dragonwater, how do we strengthen our young people to stand strong in their authenticity and personal truths against this abusive ideology? Homeschool them. Homeschool them. That is the best advice that I can give. Homeschool them, work on building up their confidence, work on building up their personal empowerment. But do not trust the schools to do this for you, because it is not going to happen in any way, shape, or form. Artis Ornis says, libertarians and moderate conservatives in general hate politics. It's why our side sucks so much in making policies and voting people in. It's dirty. I mean, listen, man, the Mises Caucus within the Libertarian Party is doing really good work. They get it more than the Republicans do. I'm sorry. That's why I joined the Mises Caucus in the first place. Guys, for anyone that's in my locals community, because I know a lot of you are, just so you know, I'm going to be rescheduling the Stitch and Bitch for tomorrow because I double booked myself by accident. I'm sorry. It was my fault. I didn't put something on my calendar. I should have put on my calendar, and I double booked myself by accident. But I will be posting. I think I'll probably just move it to later in the day tomorrow. Honestly, it was supposed to be at 2 p.m. Maybe we'll put it around 4:30 or 5, something like that. But we'll still do our Stitch and Bitch tomorrow, or Craft and Bitch, whatever craft you want to bring. If you remember my locals community, I'm just going to move it to later in the day. I'm sorry. It was totally my fault. I just didn't put something on my calendar that I should have. But if you haven't joined my locals community yet, now is the perfect time to do so. kb.locals.com/support. And basically our Craft and Bitch tomorrow is just to get together. And if you do a craft, come bring your craft to the Zoom, man, and we'll just have a chit chat and we'll hang out. That's it. But I'm going to be figuring out a new time. I did post in locals earlier. I asked people, do you just want to do it without me? Because that's obviously totally fine. You guys are perfectly capable. Or do you want me to reschedule it? And so people said, just go ahead and reschedule it. So I'm going to reschedule it. Well, no, I mean, Deborah, it's still going to happen. It's just going to be at a different time. So don't worry. I actually do the Craft and Bitches or Stitch and Bitches. We do it once a month. So that's what's going on tomorrow. And I'm just going to reschedule it. I'm sorry. This is my fault. But I'm sorry. I screwed up. I'm sorry. I can admit when I'm wrong. All right, let's keep going.
Congruence, but often there is enough congruence so that pipelines of power are available to move from the experience, say, of, sitting on the back of the bus all the way up to the Supreme Court saying the imposition of this rule is itself a violation of the Equal Protection Clause. So when I think about what is it that we need on the side of greater capacity to read the conditions of inequality in ways that open up tools to address it, when I ask myself that, I think what we really need is to engage in
that's why we do it together, Rebecca.
Allow us to see.
That's why we do it together.
Where the problems still exist, that allow us to go beyond the tropes of, well, I don't think of you as of color, or beyond the tropes of colorblindness, to see what colorblindness is actually cloaking, to ask the questions about where is racial disempowerment.
I hate the term colorblindness. I really do. This is like where we need to be smarter about fighting these people, because I hate the term colorblindness. Like, I can look at both these women and know they're black. I am not colorblind. I can look at both these women and know that they are black. Right? That's usually how colorblindness is used, to say, like, I don't see race. Well, I'm sorry, you do. Stop saying you don't see race. Like, you do see race. We know both these women are black. Okay? What people really mean is more like color indifference. And that's the terminology that I'm going to start using, is color indifference, where I can see what race you are. I'm just not going to treat you differently based on the color of your skin. I don't believe it's appropriate. And so we've got to stop using the word colorblindness. We've got to stop saying, I don't see race, because you do, and you're lying if you say you don't. So because color apathy is another one. Like, I like color indifference because I don't want to say that, like, I don't care about, like, your experience. I'm indifferent to the race that you are in terms of how I'm treating you. But people have got to be smarter about this. And this is another area where the right's like, no, I'm colorblind. I don't see race. Well, stop saying that just to be obstinate, because you are literally playing right into their hands. Like right here, I'm sorry, commonly gave you, I'm going to use you as an example. Boo, you're giving into their bullshit. Blue, I'm pro colorblindness. Well, you're playing right into their hands. Congratulations. You're allowing them to win. When you dig your heels in, instead of being smart and just changing the terminology, just change your language, man. Change your language. Make it something different. They do this shit all the time. Stop playing into their hands out of stubbornness. Stop it. You are letting them win. You are giving them a tool to work with. Stop giving them things that they can use against you. It's like you're just handing them a win. You're like, here, you want this easy win over me? Here, take it, because I'm just doing it to be a stubborn little asshole. Like, here, take it. Like, it's just so stupid. I'm sorry. You've got to start changing your language so that you act smarter than they are. And if you're going to be obstinate and not do it out of just principle, I guess, I mean, you're winning nothing and you're actually making it harder for the rest of us. Just change your language.
Playing a role here in ways that amplify what it used to do, but just without the pronouncement anymore. What can we do to be more present? And
no, I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care. Don't care. Don't care. The right needs to start playing smarter. This is why I don't actually think that the right is serious about defeating this, because you like this is like every day. And I'm sorry if I get a little frustrated about this, but every single time you do this crap just to dig your heels in, you are literally handing the left wins, and there is nothing that I can do to fix it until you start changing your behavior. Until you start behaving smarter. Until you start playing chess instead of checkers. Because right now, a lot of people fighting this are playing checkers. You are playing the easier game where the left is playing chess. You have got to start being smarter. And if you care about winning, rather than just owning the libs, if you care about winning, then you will do what is required, regardless of whether or not you agree with it. This is not about your comfort. This is about doing what is required in order to win the GD war. Do the work. Do the work. But no, seriously, you've got to start changing your behavior and doing what's required. For real.
Capacity to deliver the energies that we saw last year into, okay, now this institution is under the black light. Where do we need to place our energies?
Thank you, Slice.
So
I agree. I appreciate you.
Willingness to continue to ask the questions, willingness to continue to find ways of aligning what we're seeing to what we're doing. And also, always remember that the battle over how we conceptualize is probably
I'm sorry, then I'm going to be honest. You're going to cause us to lose. No, I'm not giving in to them. I'm a Taurus. I'm happy to keep principle colorblindness. Then you are going to cause us to lose. People like you are going to cause us to lose. You're not on my team. I'm sorry. You are not on my team. I am on the team that is focused on winning. I am on the team that is focused on defeating bullshit like this. That is the team that I am on. If you are inhibiting progress to defeating bullshit like this, then you are not on my team. And if you are digging your heels in just to be stubborn, you are not on my fucking team. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Dragonwater said, my one argument is that the left will keep coming after the new language, not defending, just giving a counter. Yes, of course they will. Of course they will. Of course they will, but that doesn't matter. If they do that, then we change the language again. People have got to start, well, then you're going to lose. And also, like, team principle, that's the school principle. That's not even the correct way to spell principle. Principle is the correct way to spell principle. So if you're on team principle, you're supporting the principle of the school. Congratulations. Like, and honestly just proves my point, because the principal of the school is probably in charge of critical race theory, or is in, like, at least support of critical race theory. If you aren't going to behave smart, then you are doing more harm than good. If you are doing more harm than good, then you are not on the same team I am. If you cannot put your own personal shit to the side and contribute to the greater good, then you're basically playing on the left's team, man. Congratulations. Are you a leftist spy? Are you a secret leftist? Because you're supporting their goals right now. You aren't supporting ours. Sorry. That's the truth.
Important battle. Because if you can't name social problems for what they are, if you can't defend the tools that allow you to measure the social problem, if you can't defend the demands of those who are on the other side locked out because of the barrier, if you can't
I disagree.
lift up their
I disagree. If the right had been playing their game, we would not be in the position that we're in right now. The right right now is losing because of this shit. Because they haven't been playing their game for the past 4 decades. I'm sorry. That's just that's the way it is, guys. You got to start playing by the rules. Like, you've got to start playing in a way that's smart. You don't necessarily need to accept the left's rules, but you've got to start beating them at their own game. And if you're just going to dig your heels and say, no, I'm going to do this out of principle, I'm sorry, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You care more about like losing than you do about winning. I care about winning. I don't know where you guys are at, but I care about winning.
voices, then you are unable to solve the problem. So all along, this trajectory, do we have the right voices at the table? Are we using prisms that allow us to see what the obstacles and barriers are? Are we historicizing the inequality so we're not seeing them as existing in the bodies of the people who are underrepresented, but existing in our practices that we've not really changed significantly to facilitate the inclusion of these people? And lastly, philanthropy. Philanthropy has played a significant role in determining what conceptualizations of racial inequality will be centered and which ones are going to be marginalized. And structural racism is one of those ideas that was not traditionally centered in philanthropy. Now we're starting to have that conversation, and it's important for philanthropy to play a role in protecting this conversation so we're able to experience all the insights that it will deliver to us.
Ooh, thank you. And for my Thunder colleagues who are listening, I look forward to us continuing this conversation. How do we protect these conversations?
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. I'm going to say it again. It does not matter. When you use the term colorblind, what you are implicitly implying is that you do not see color. Can you look at both these women and see that they're black? The answer is yes. You can look at both these women and see that they're black. Can we acknowledge that African Americans in our society, and of course I'm talking about America, not all you live in America, but that's what I'm talking about. Can we also acknowledge that African Americans, black people, do have a fundamentally different experience? They do. I'm sorry, they do. They do. Now, it might not be to the extent that these two would argue, but they do have a fundamentally different experience. We have to acknowledge these things, because the minute that you stop acknowledging these things is the minute that you play right into their hands. Like, their entire argument here is like, they just don't want to talk about racism. They don't want to talk about the way the black people have been treated differently. They don't want to talk about slavery. They don't want to talk about the civil rights movement. They don't want to talk about any of these things. Every time you make it seem as though you are completely blinded to the fact that there was slavery in this country, that there was a civil rights movement for a reason, that there have been laws in the past that have adversely impacted this community, that disproportionately Black Americans do still, and you could argue it's a socio and economic problem if you want to, and I think that that's fine, but African Americans are disproportionately at a disadvantage when we look at it at scale. When you argue against all of these things, you are playing right into their hands. This is not a way that we are going to win. So if you want to lose, keep making this argument, but you're going to lose for all of us. It's not that you're just going to lose for yourself or your children. You are going to lose for all of us simply because you're being stubborn about it. It's so stupid. Just change your language. Do what is required, not what is comfortable. Do what is required. Dragonwater, honestly, I think the right has always meant to me a false resistance. Yeah. Well, the right is a giant pain in the ass is what the right is. And for this exact reason, I am so sick. I am so sick of having to explain this. Really and truly, guys, I'm so sick of having to explain it. If you are not doing things that are actively countering what they are doing, then you are working against us. If you are playing right into their hands, then you are working against us. No, I don't think we should accept any of their definitions. I don't think we should accept any of them. But playing right into their hands it's not the same effing thing. Changing the word colorblind is the easiest thing to do in the effing world. Just call it something different. If you have an emotional attachment to the term colorblind, then you're being unreasonable. I'm sorry. Just say something different that does not grossly play into their hands. Why is that so hard? Why do you have an emotional attachment to the term colorblind? Or are you just being stubborn just because you can be? Your stubbornness is going to sink all of us.
Conversation so that the work can continue to happen. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pivot just a little bit because I don't think we can talk about your work and talk about critical race theory and intersectionality without uplifting Black girls and women. And in one of your written pieces, it wasn't that long ago, and it was right after the Chauvin's verdict on the murder of George Floyd and the police killing of Ma'Khia Bryant. You wrote a piece in which you pose a set of really powerful questions, right? I'm going to read them for us. When will the trauma, the pain, and the disregard of Black girls ever rise to the top of our agenda to enhance their well-being, psychologically, physically, and spiritually? When will we as a society answer the call to become our sisters' keepers?
Stop. Stop it. I am blocking the next person in this chat that insists on using the word colorblind. You've been warned.
I lift those questions up. I thank you for them. I lift them up because looking at our schools, we know that Black girls are disciplined at much higher rates than their white peers for similar infractions. And we know you and colleagues at AAPF are doing some incredible work on behalf of our people. Can you tell us just a little bit about your work with AAPF's Black Girls Matter initiative?
Yes, thank you so much for asking that. You know, this work with Black girls is really I think the trajectory of it tells us a lot about actually the role of foundations in setting agendas and excluding certain dimensions of racial inequity from the framing of the problem in the first place. Some of this work started over a decade ago with Latifah Simon and Priscilla Ochen, who at the time were at the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, and we were all talking about.
Jared, happy hour. What is the progress of your book? I just sent the book off to the publisher last week. It was great to have a week where I didn't have to write the book. I have not heard back from the publisher yet, but they're working on whatever the publisher is doing. That's not like uncommon. So I'll update you guys with more information on the book when I have it. I did just block Christopher. I gave you a 5-minute timeout because I told you not to use the word colorblind or argue for the term colorblind, and you continue to argue for the term colorblind. So Christopher's in a 5-minute timeout right now. He's not blocked entirely. He's got 5 minutes to think about, like, not saying the thing that I told you not to say. This is an ongoing rule, guys. Like, you guys get pissed at me because I block people. I will tell you, I will block you if you do XYZ. And then if you do XYZ, it's really on you at that point. You're an adult. You have to behave like an adult. Dragonwater says, I find it really funny. These people claim white people only care about white people. These women and most of their fellow activists only care about those who are exactly like them. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think that that's true, Dragonwater. Color indifferent is the term that I would use. Color indifferent. That's the term that I'm using. It's not that I can't see color. It's not that I'm not aware of color, but I will not treat you differently because of the color of your skin. I won't do it. That's the argument we should be having. Anytime we use the word colorblind, what we're talking about is like what people can very easily suss out is you're saying you don't see color. Well, of course you do. And I hate it even more when conservatives say, I don't see color. It's not true. You can look at these two women and know they're Black. Sorry. Let's see. Sorry, just reading the chat, guys. All right.
how the increasing focus on the school to prison pipeline and criminalization more broadly as the new Jim Crow was missing a gendered component to it. People were talking about it as though this criminalization, this school to prison pipeline was exclusively a boy problem. And because it was framed as a boy problem, the efforts to collect information about it, to develop policy interventions based on it, to give people information to have the talk with their daughters, all of that stuff was unavailable. It was such a there was such a silencing about it that when we started bringing people together to talk about girls and women.
Peter, you can post whatever you want in locals, but just be aware, I'm not going to support any use of the term colorblind. I'm not going to do it. You can talk about it all you want, but I think you are fighting a very, very, very losing battle. I think you are behaving as more of a problem rather than part of the solution, and I think you're perfectly capable of changing your language. I think you're perfectly capable of it. And if you're not willing to do what is required in order to win the war, then I have to question if you and I are on the same team. I do. Sorry. Dragon Water using colorblind like this is only going to get medically colorblind people attacked by these people. I mean, I don't know that that's true. No, that's not true though. That's not true. They attack the right for using the term colorblind all the fucking time. They do it all the time, and the right walks right into it as though they don't know it's coming. We see this stuff every single week in happy hour. I don't even know why this is a question. If the easiest thing to do in the world is just to change the language that you are using when the term doesn't even make sense anyway in the way that you're arguing it, then change your fucking language. Like, I don't know why this is so hard. Just change your language. Why are you so emotionally attached to this term? Facts don't care about your feelings. You're going to have a lot more success if you just suck it up, behave like an adult, and change your fucking language. If you are so emotionally attached to one specific term, you need to question why. You need to ask yourself why, because it is not the term that you're attached to. It is simply a matter of control, and you're being spiteful, and you're digging in your heels like a petulant child. That is the only reason to use the term colorblind. That's it. That is it. There is literally no win in this fucking conversation. There's no win in the conversation. There is no benefit to using the term colorblind. And this is the easiest win in the world. And if I have to yell and scream and swear to get people to like take the, it's like, here guys, here is the easiest win that we have in the world, that I'm handing you this win. I'm giving it to you on a silver fucking platter. No, I'm not getting distracted, Zach. Like, here is the win. I'm giving it to you on a silver platter. And you're like, nope, sorry, don't want it. Well, how serious are you about fighting this fight then? The easiest goddamn thing in the world. The easiest thing in the world. This is why you guys drive me goddamn insane sometimes. It's like, if you aren't going to do the easy things, then why would I ever assume you're doing the hard things? From Holland, my family's died by bombs in the Iraq War. Under Biden-Obama administration, 500,000 children died in war. Justice never happened for me. It's sad how evil the USA media is. Do your research. Thank you for that. Dragon Water, I know that you're arguing that. I'm acknowledging that. I know that. But other people in the chat are not acknowledging that. Other people in the chat are saying, I'm going to use the correct colorblind no matter what. It's like you win nothing. You literally win nothing. Congratulations. You win nothing and you hurt the rest of us. Way to go.
And there was a sense that it was almost an illegitimate conversation. We even called it a speakeasy. Like, here's the secret code to get into this conversation. Because
yeah, words have power and we can choose to use them as we wish to do. You can do whatever you want, Deborah, but if you're going to use the term colorblind because you have a fucking emotional attachment to it for some goddamn unknown reason and hurt the rest of us in the process, that's your choice, but you're not on my team. People get mad at me when I talk down to people or when I block people. If you are If you are actively working against what I am trying to do, if you are inhibiting me, if you are sabotaging me, if you are making things more difficult, you and I are not on the same team. To me, you may as well be on the left. You are no better than Democrat when you are when your actions are supporting the Democrats and supporting people like this. You are no better than them. That is your choice. You are making that choice. You're making that choice. No one's making it for you. You're making it for yourself. Start acting like an adult and doing what's necessary.
People didn't want to be read as not supporting boys and consequently men. They didn't want to be seen as being not down for anti-racism, to actually say, well, how is anti-Black racism in the schools impacting, our girls? So we decided, you know what, we really need to talk about this. So we had a conference on being over-policed and underprotected, which we talked about how the entire criminalization project actually was gendered in ways that we didn't appreciate. And then we decided, let's do more. Let's look at what's happening to girls, in these zero tolerance schools. And shockingly, we actually found, as you pointed out, that the racial disparity between, cohorts of girls was actually greater for Black girls than it was for Black boys.
This is my biggest problem. Jaya has identified it correctly. The right always picks the dumbest things to fight for. Let's fight for the term colorblind. Let's fight for our right to use the term colorblind. Like, that's the stupidest fight in the fucking world. This is my entire problem with the right, is they do crap like this all of the time. Yep, I'm going to put you in a timeout too, Lemongrass, because I told you what was going to happen and you did it anyway. Congratulations. Can we actually focus on fighting the problem, or are we gonna be emotionally attached to language? Facts don't care about your feelings. I don't care if you're emotionally attached to the term colorblind. It's stupid. You are inhibiting progress. You are making things harder. You are playing right into the left's hands. You are helping Kimberle Crenshaw to win. A toast to change for the betterment of all of us. Thank you, Jared.
By that, I mean the relationship between the risk of being suspended and expelled for girls who were Black was far greater than for boys who were Black relative to their same gender, opposite race cohort. And that was like, wow, why do people not talk about this? To the extent that this is a problem that should be seen as racism, it is a particular kind of racism about Black girls, to the extent that reality was not part of the agendas in the early 2000s, is a product of intersectional erasure. The specific ways that Black girls experience racial discrimination exists, structurally are encoded in the zero tolerance policies, but politically erased in anti-Black racism and also in gender-based discourses. So our goal was at least to speak into that silence. We might not be able to fully carry the demand to create interventions, but we certainly could say we're not going to participate in the silencing and the erasure about the ways that Black girls are being treated in the schools. So that's where Black Girls Matter came. And frankly, now I think there is far more attention, far more research, but still the implications of that erasure go across our...
Oh, holy shit. Naruto, a criminal complaint has officially been filed against Andrew Cuomo. All right, we'll see. Patrice says conservatives need to get in the fight instead of standing stubborn on what they see as a moral superiority. That is exactly correct. The conservatives are going to lose us this fight. If it was just people with common sense fighting back, like, we would have no problem. It's going to be the goddamn conservatives that lose us this fight out of their stubbornness. That's all it is. And by the way, Kimberle Crenshaw was just talking about the erasure of black girls in schools while she's sitting pretty, being a professor at UCLA or wherever the hell she's a professor at. So I'm not exactly sure how black girls got erased from schools, since this is a conversation at Brown University. Both of them are black. She's a professor at like UCLA or something. Don't get it. Dragonwater said, why do people like this want to be discriminated against so badly? It's never a behavioral difference, always racism, because they want to be a victim. They want to be a victim. Shade says, I'm black. Color is literally the first thing you would see if you see me. There is nothing wrong with seeing that. Any negative values that you input into the equation would be your... Yeah, I completely agree with this. This is another reason I am completely opposed with using the term colorblind. There is nothing wrong with seeing that these women are black. There's nothing wrong with that. There's literally nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with seeing that Shade 23753 is black. There is nothing wrong with that. But am I going to treat you differently based on the color of your skin? No, I'm going to treat you like a human being. That is what we need to be striving for. That is what we need to be striving for. Sorry. Chad is going to mansplain the issue. Thank you, Chad, because God knows people are going to hear it differently from a man. I actually believe that, by the way. Let me mansplain your point. It's a framing issue. By using the left's language, you let the left choose the battleground. Nope, that's actually incorrect. I'm not using the left's language. While they're using the left's language, colorblind is the left's language. So on that point, I do agree. If we're using the term colorblind, you are using the left's language. I am using the term color indifferent, which is not the left's language. They can try to take the moral high ground all they want, but if you're using the term colorblind, you are literally using their language. I'm so sick of this argument. And it's not as though this is the first time I've heard it, which is why I'm really harping on this issue. This is one of those things where I really do not understand why people can't just suck it up, act like adults, and actually change their fucking language. I don't understand. I don't get it. Be an adult.
Entire sort of trajectory of anti-black racism work.
Absolutely. And you've done enough work that so many of us have paid attention. And earlier, one piece of advice you gave us is there's never going to be complete congruence, right? But the work that you've done has generated enough interest, enough demand that we can't afford to look away moving forward. And I think, for folks who are asking some of the questions I'm looking at, you've just articulated.
This is one of those things. The reason I'm harping on this is one of those things that is an easy win. It's easy. It's the easiest thing in the world. Just use a different term. It's easy. If you are not going to do the easy things, then can I ever expect you to do the hard things? Can I ever expect you to go to a school board meeting and make a speech? Can I ever expect you to go to your state legislators and lobby for a bill? Can I ever expect you to stand up in your work environment? If you are not going to do the easy things, like change your language when it really makes no effing difference whatsoever, then you're never going to do the hard things. That is the problem, guys. If you are unwilling to do the easy things, you will never be willing to do the hard things. And if you are unwilling to do the hard things, then we are fucked. We are fucked. What I am trying to do is present you a path to winning based on everything I know about human behavior and how humans interpret information. And if you are unwilling to do the bare minimum, if you're unwilling to do the basics, and it might seem hard because I'm yelling at you and I'm speaking in a stern voice and I'm a woman and some of you don't altogether like that too much. But the fact of the matter is, if you aren't willing to do the bare minimum, if you aren't willing to go to the absolute lowest level that I can hang the bar, which is say color indifferent and not colorblind. Like, that is the easiest thing in the world to do. It costs you literally nothing. The only thing standing in your way is you being stubborn. That is the very lowest level at which I can place the bar. That's it. And if you can't do this, then you can't do something up here. And if you can't do something up here, you can't do something up here. If you can't do something up here, you can't do something up here. And so on and so forth and so on and so forth. We need people operating at this level. Right now, we don't even have we have people who are refusing to operate at the most basic level. We need people up here. I can't even get people to this bar, and it is all a matter of stubbornness and emotions. And don't say you're not using emotions, because like you are being emotionally attached to a single effing term. If you can't get over that, then you can't get here. I need you up here. If you are going to fight every step of the way to even crossing the lowest bar available, I can't get you here. And if you're going to stay down here and fight in this battle, then we are not on the same team. I'm sorry, I need to be brass tacks about this. We do not have the time to fuck around any longer. We don't have the time. Everyone needs to be up here. And I don't need you up here immediately, but the bare minimum that I need you to do is to start changing your fucking language.
Why it is important that our approach, or the approach to the work of racial justice, happens through the centering and experiences and needs of Black girls who are at the margin. Because if we can figure some of that out, we can help everyone else along the way. Thank you for that. So folks want to know, and I just got a note that we have about 5 minutes left. I want more time. So you may need to come back, Professor Crenshaw. You might need to come back. So I'm gonna once again merge just a couple of questions. Some folks want to know what sustains you in this struggle, right? Like, how are you doing? You know, because people know you, and it's easy to attack who you are as a human in the world, and based on all of the work, the body of work that you've done, it's easy to target, right? So how are you doing? How are you sustaining yourself in the struggle? And I personally want to know how you maintain hope, right? Like, because if I were you, I might be really angry. How do you sustain your sense of hope? And then to close, what are you dreaming about these days?
Oh, that last one is funny. I have very vivid dreams. So I guess the how am I doing? You know, I go back and forth between, you know, when I was growing up, if you got into, you know, some words with somebody, the first thing you would do is say, hold up. You know, you take out my earrings and we're about to get with it. So there are times, you know, that I see things, I was like, where did that come from? So I have my hold up, I'm gonna, you know, get into it. But then I realized, you know what, this is partly what the point is. Partly the point is to distract us from the work that we are doing by just throwing any and every old thing.
Yes, distract us from the work that we're doing. Absolutely. Jay-Z says, CRT and woke are killing the world. In Europe, the woke causes hate, war, division. We are children of God. The left is using CRT for gaining power. That is absolutely correct. The left is using CRT for gaining power, and we need to start fighting them in earnest. No screwing around. Dragonwater said, hey, 2 actually good questions from this. I don't know what you're referring to, Dragonwater, but that's okay. I'm sure you'll tell me.
You know, over our way, when in fact, what's far more important is to continue to produce the information and the frames and the tools that are necessary to dismantle some of the toxicity that has been built into our institutions, and that just sit there, you know, in the spaces, creating these diseased outcomes. So, you know, I frequently say that, you know, if racism were a social problem that we cared about as much as we cared about asbestos, for example, we would realize how crazy it is to say, well, you know, the solution to brown lung disease is not to talk about asbestos anymore, not to create the tools to see asbestos, certainly not to remove it from our institutions, because removing it from our institutions actually damages it. Like, what? But people would never say that. It would make no sense whatsoever. And yet now we find ourselves having to defend the need to sustain the tools that have been necessary to identify all the ways that racial exclusion, ideas that were grounded.
Yeah, actually, Dragonwater is right. These are actually really good questions that everyone should ask themselves when they're engaging in this battle. How are you and how are you sustaining yourself are good questions to ask people. I agree with that. I think that that's a really good observation, Dragonwater.
Grounded in white supremacy are embedded in the spaces that we have to work, live, vote, exist. So I think remembering that
Yes.
is helpful to me. The fact that there are so many people who see this for what it is and are beginning to become even more activated, I think is really key. But when you say what gives me hope, I think about how further along we are in this cycle, this, race, reform, and retrenchment was the first thing I ever wrote. When there is racism and there's reform, there's almost always retrenchment to that reform. So realizing that we are in another cycle of this, and we've had several, that's a piece of it that is calming. Now, I think the idea that it's naturally going to work out or time is going to resolve it, I don't believe that. I believe that we continue to have opportunities to deepen the aspiration to create a society that's worthy of the celebration that we symbolically want to bestow upon it. So,
what does that society look like, do you think? What do you guys think? And this is an honest question. What do you think that Kimberle Crenshaw means when she says, create a society that is worthy of the celebration that we are bestowing on it? What do we think she means? What is the goal? Because they never quite tell you what the goal is. I'm going to text my husband and ask him to bring me a pumpkin from downstairs. I'm about done this beer. This is going to be an epically drunk happy hour. I'm going to tell you that right now. Holy shit. So Thrifty says, I have no idea. No, I wouldn't say from an HR perspective. When they say creating a society that is worthy of the celebration, what do they mean? What do they mean? Yeah, I know about this story. The racist rock removed. I think I did a video about this story. It's not. They removed a rock. It was like $20,000 or something to remove a rock. Is the goal to disrupt order in society? Yup, that is the goal. A society where everyone smiles in fear because no one knows what will get you executed. Harrison Bergeron, baby. We're going to do a Harrison Bergeron movie night in my locals. If you aren't in my locals yet, we are going to be doing a Harrison Bergeron movie night. This I know for sure. I don't know exactly when yet. It'll be a surprise. Whites being disempowered and everyone that is oppressed raised above it. Well, it's not just whites, though. It's not just whites, Jared. Remember, because, oh, shit. Hi, Victor. Look at my husband. My husband, I text him and I say, can you bring me a beer with the top off? And he brings me a beer. Thank you, Victor. I love you. You're a good man. This is the next one, guys. I've had 2 of these coconut ones. This is pumpkin. I'm not done the other one yet, but like, this is the next beer right here. Imperial Pumpkin Ale. It says pumpkin pie in a glass. And it's 8.6% alcohol. I'm gonna put that one to the side for right now. But no, Jared, remember, like, so like, this is not just anti-white, right? It's not. Because it's anti-everyone who disagrees with it. So it's not just about whites being disempowered. It's everyone that disagrees with it. Oh, people are saying hi, Victor, in the chat. All right. Let's keep going.
So this is another opportunity to push back against the retrenchment.
Thank you, Victor,
deepen
from the
our
internet.
commitments to what kind of society we want. Do we want to have one in which we just don't talk about racism?
Yes.
Or do we want to have one in which we are grappling with the contemporary consequences of it and
the contemporary consequences of it? Listen, like if we want to have a conversation about socioeconomic status and minimizing the disparate access to opportunities, like for me, this entire conversation comes down to the idea of equity versus equality. I am completely fine with having any conversation about reducing the access to opportunity that anyone has based on their skin color or gender or any other thing that Kimberle Crenshaw cares about. I'm perfectly fine having that conversation. What I am not fine with is having a conversation about equality of outcomes, because as soon as you zone in on equality of outcomes, that's Marxism. That's Marxism. Yes, Victor will get a hug. He might even get a kiss. Who knows? It's Friday. It's happy hour. Who knows what the day might bring?
Materially changing our practices so we're able to reach that moment. And I think we're in a different, we're differently situated than we were, say, when Thurgood Marshall was trying to imagine a society in which the Supreme Court sided with the excluded rather than the Supreme Court as it.
So Kimberle Crenshaw right now is actually saying that society is more racist now than when Thurgood Marshall was on the Supreme Court, which is provably not true. Dragonwater says, what does this word contemporary actually mean? So she means about like what's happening right now. Not what happened in the 60s, not what happened in the 1860s, what's happening right now. Don't give him any ideas. Okay. Victor's probably getting his hopes up right now. We'll see. It is Friday. Who knows? Who knows? I'd buy him dinner. Maybe we will get dinner later. Who knows? Who knows? I had a conversation with Victor a couple weeks ago. Where the hell were we? I don't know. We were somewhere. But I'm almost getting Victor amenable to a place where he might come and do an interview on the channel. Victor doesn't really want to be in public. He doesn't want to be in video or anything like that. But I was like, Victor, you should really come and do a talk on my channel and we can have a little chat. And he was like, maybe. So he's warming up to the idea, okay? You might get some Victor in your future.
Most often sided with the most powerful. He couldn't have imagined.
Yeah. Oh shit. What did I just get on my phone? Biden extends pause on student loan payments in 2022. Yes. I'm never going to have to pay my student loans again. I'm sorry. I know this is a leftist position, but I have a lot of student loans and I'm actually very excited about this. I know it's wrong. I know it's my responsibility and I took out the loans and all that stuff. But I'm actually really excited about this and I don't really like paying my student loans until January 31st, 2022. Yes. Yes.
That it actually could happen, or perhaps not see what it would look like, but that didn't mean that he did not step out, on faith that doing something towards that end was far better than acquiescing to the terms of Black life as they were, given to us. So I just think about,
I know, right?
those who passed the baton on to us. It was a smaller baton. It was harder to carry, but they did their job in making sure that there was something to pass on. And I see our generation as this is a moment where we have to stand firm and tall and strong, that we are not going to let the other side.
And I'm going to be honest, like, I would not be mad if the Democrats crammed through a student loan cancellation, but I really wouldn't. I'm sorry. I kind of hope they do. Maybe I should lobby my Democratic senators, be like, I really don't want to pay my student loans. It would provide a lot of economic hardship. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to take advantage of all the free shit I can get because I really do believe we're in the long, slow descent into socialism anyway. I'm very much in favor of accelerationism. And if I can get my student loans canceled, I'm not going to be upset about that. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you have been much more responsible than me and paid that shit off. I'm sorry. I'm very happy about this. I'm sorry. I feel like a horrible person. I'm not going to be upset. I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm very selfish. I'm an Aries. I'm a very selfish person. I'm not upset.
Shift their tactics, which at one point were, no, you don't deserve.
If we're going to descend into socialism anyway, I'm going to enjoy the few benefits that I can get out of it, all right? I know we're going to have hyperinflation at some point. I fucking get it. But man, not making that student loan payment feels so good.
To be here to no, we're not going to talk about the terms upon which you are here. Because for you to do that is discrimination against me. We have to be that generation that says, no, that's not going to go down anymore. And we are preserving this framework and these ideas so our young people have an understanding of the world that they have inherited to better transform it for their future generation.
It's amazing. Is that what you're dreaming about, Professor Crenshaw?
Oh my goodness. So I I have all sorts of dreams, and funny times like these are moments when they're actually, coming. So I have dreams about what the awakening inside the awakening looks like. People not only marching in.
Dragonwater says, just did the math on student loan payments last night. It's scary. And yes, given me student loans cancellation, please. Being selfish isn't always bad. Virgo here, not sure if that affects. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Virgos are definitely highly practical. No, I mean, like, I would actually really like, I wouldn't be upset if they canceled like part of my student loans, but what I would really like is if they canceled, like if they stopped accumulating interest, that would actually be monumentally helpful. I really do think that they should cancel student loan interest. I really do. I'm sorry. That's what I think. I know a lot of people disagree with me. Whatever. If we're going to listen, man, if we are on the long, slow descent into socialism anyway, we may as well enjoy it. We may as well take advantage of the benefits that we get. That's all I'm saying. I'm not upset about this. I'm sorry. I'm not upset.
Protest, but people marching for things, people taking the energy that we saw all across the country and taking it into schools and into school board meetings and into their workplaces and into their places of worship, into the beauty shop and the barber shop. This activation.
Make the colleges pay the student loans out of their endowments. I'm just saying. It's a great way to defund the colleges. You want to defund the colleges, make them pay the student loans out of their endowments.
Not being seen as just about one death or the realization of its goals, not just the conviction of one person, but of an understanding that while prejudice and explicit racial antipathy is one modality of racial power, it is not the only one. There are more ways that we are attending to, from implicit bias to assuming that the way we distribute opportunity is race neutral when it isn't. There are more questions that people are asking. There are more tools to help them ask it, as long as there's the energy and the commitment to take those answers and to galvanize it into energies for transformative justice. I think we're at that moment where people are ready and prepared, and we need to make those frames and the opportunity come into congruence with each other, the way that the other side has successfully done that.
Yes, thank you. I think that is a good closing word. And I thank you so much. You've given and continue to offer us so much, including in this very packed conversation. And words can't properly convey my gratitude, our gratitude. So we give you all the flowers, Professor Crenshaw.
All the flowers.
And for the audience, wherever you are, I hope you are snapping. Thank you for joining us.
Snap your fingers,
we hope that
guys.
This discussion was enlightening.
Snap your fingers. Snaps for Kimberle Crenshaw. I don't even know what she was saying at the end. Six Semper Tyrannis. Fine, cancel student loan debt. Those who paid off debt then don't have to pay federal taxes equal to the amount they paid. Dems put the money where their mouth is. I mean, I don't know that they're going to do that, but Again, I'm not going to be upset about this. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to be upset. Dragon Water, if we go socialist, can we go libertine socialist and mount the like button? Why so many hug words instead of speaking plainly? All right, guys, I'm going to leave it up to you what we do now. So we finished this first video. One option, okay. I'm going to give you guys an option that I'm not entirely sure I want to give. Are you guys ready for like an unexpected option? One option is that we can watch the other Kimberle Crenshaw video, which is, hang on, I'm going to stop the share. The other Kimberle Crenshaw video is this video right here, which is Race Today, a symposium on race in America at Brown University from 2015, so 6 years ago. That's one option. The other option, because I'm feeling saucy, is I can read the Tim Pool hit piece article that the Daily Beast did and do a reaction to it. I have not read this article, but I've heard about this article from like 19 different people. And everyone's like, Carlin, you have to read the Tim Pool hit piece article. And I just really don't care to do it. But I'm a little bit tipsy right now because I've had 2 beers. And I will read the article and react to it live on this stream if you guys want. The other option is to do the Kimberle Crenshaw stream. The other option is that we just end it for today. So tell me what you guys want. Do you want Kimberle Crenshaw? Do you want Tim Pool reaction? Or do you just want to be done? Oh, okay. I can already see where this is going. You guys are like, read the fucking Tim Pool article. Oh, no. Oh, no. This is going to go horribly wrong. Oh, no. I shouldn't have given you guys this option. Oh, no. This is going to go horribly wrong. I don't want to watch Adam's rebuttal to it. I don't care about that. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't know. Okay, so guys, like, here's the thing. Okay, so we're obviously not watching the fucking Kimberle Crenshaw video. Okay, fine. Okay, so here's the thing that maybe we can do Collins. I'm seeing a lot, like, people seem to want me to read this goddamn Tim Pool article. Okay, you guys are trying to get me in trouble. Okay, so here's the thing. And I want people to understand this before we do this. All right? I have never met Tim Pool. Okay, I've never spoken to Tim Pool. I hear a lot of people like saying like mom and dad are breaking up. I have never even had a conversation with the man. The only interaction that I've had with Tim Pool has been tweets where he was like kind of a dick. So that's all I have to judge on. It's literally all I have to judge on. Okay, like, so I'm just not like, I think the guy is very smart. I have absolute respect for everything that he's built and everything that he's done because he has worked. I don't know how he did it. I really don't. I don't know how he did it I don't know how, but like, I'm also not the guy's biggest fan in the world. So if you guys are okay with this, I will read this article and react to it, but I want you to have the context. Like, I've never really had a conversation with the guy. Anytime I've interacted with him, it has not been good. I'm willing to do it if you guys want me to do it, but I want you to have the context. All right. Tim Pool, Daily Beast. Even effing Joshua was like, Carlin, have you read the Tim Pool article? And I was like, Joshua, how have you read the Tim Pool article and I haven't? All right. I'm going to read the fucking article. Okay. All right. I don't think, I mean, to be really fair, and again, I want to be fair and diplomatic about this. This is the article, right? This is what we're reacting to. Here, let me get this banner off. So I want to be fair about this. I think that Tim Pool is smart. I think that he works extremely hard. I think he's worked extremely hard for a really long time. I don't begrudge him anything that he's built because I think that he has paid for it in sweat. And I have absolute respect for that. I just have never had a positive interaction with the guy. And so that does color my judgment. Like, I can only assess people based on what they give me. And I've yet to have a positive interaction with the guy. So make the best choice for your mental health. Oh God, I feel like this is gonna blow up spectacularly in my face, but I don't really care. I don't really care. Let's take a read and I will see what's what. I'm almost on my beer. This is the second beer, and then I have my pumpkin for the third beer. Yeah, even Joshua read it. I was shocked. Reagan, I was shocked. Joshua was telling me he was like reading this article over breakfast or something. I was like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, I don't even care enough to read this article. The Daily Beast is trash. Like, of course they're doing a hit piece. But I'm going to try to give an honest response to this article. But I just want everyone to be aware. Like, I don't care if you watch Tim Pool. I don't care if you like Tim Pool. Like whoever you like. Watch whoever you want to watch. I'm not telling anyone to not watch anything. I'm just saying that, like, he's not my favorite person in the world. And so I might say some things that disappoint you. And I'm sorry. This is not mom and dad breaking up. I've never even had a conversation with the guy. I'm sorry. I've had like 2 beers. I'm about to work on a third. I'm sorry if I say things that offend you, okay? I'm sorry. All right, hang on. Pumpkin. Oh, look at that head. Holy shit. Look at that head. Oh my God. The head, this is the head right here. This is where all the aroma is. That's like a good 3 fingers of head. Oh God, Dragon Water, I know. Dragon Water says if Carlin's not canceled, Joshua's gonna Joshua's gonna start watching Fox News. I know. He is. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. All right. Oh my God. It smells like pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin so much. It's the best beer in the world. It's the best beer in the world. All right, let's read this article. A former darling of Occupy Wall Street, Tim Pool has racked up more than 1 billion views and millions in earnings while dangerously whitewashing the far right. Okay. I don't think that Tim Pool has dangerously whitewashed the far right. I disagree with that. Joshua has taken the red pill. He has. Joshua is totally goddamn red pilled at this point. I thought Joshua took the red pill before the election. No. Joshua has absolutely taken the red pill since the election. 100%. All right, let's see. By mid-afternoon on January 4th, it had become increasingly clear that a slew of far-right actors were gearing up for violence at the Capitol. Tim Pool derided and dismissed the accurate reporting out of hand. If that was clear on January 4th, then why didn't the government do anything about it? Why didn't they do anything? Like, I would have loved for them to do something about it. If that was clear on January 4th, then why didn't the GD FBI or anyone do anything about it? All of the ideological enemies Pool 35 rails against on YouTube for an audience of millions each day, few stack up to the mainstream press. In his mind, coverage of then President Donald Trump's investigations and mounting threats was yet another example of the media's depravity, he said. What do you think they're going to do? Asked Pool. It's so stupid. I mean, I absolutely think he's right about this. Listen. One of the reasons that I went to DC on January 6th was, frankly, I wanted to see what was going to happen for myself. I didn't want to trust any media reporting. I didn't want to trust anything except what I saw with my own GD eyes. So I agree. I expected something to happen. Joshua predicted on January 5th that something was going to happen. Get Joshua to PorcFest. So he doesn't go, dude, I'm working on it, okay? I'm working on it. Joshua's going to be a libertarian. He's not going to be a Republican. I'm working very hard on this, okay? 2 days later, a mob stormed the Capitol, whipped into a frenzy by nonsensical claims of a stolen election and determined to put a stop to the constitutional transfer of power. To date, nearly 600 alleged rioters, a mishmash of Trump backers, QAnon adherents, and members of militias and extremist groups have been arrested. None of that's Tim Pool's fault. Listen, for as many issues as I have with Tim Pool, none of that is Tim Pool's fault. I'm sorry. None of that is Tim Pool's fault. People have to take responsibility for their own actions. None of that is Tim Pool's fault. Throughout the fall of 2020, the wildly successful YouTube pundit had spent countless hours hyping The blinkered legal strategies and half-baked fantasies about voter fraud animating the online right. At the same time, in each video, Poole tried to separate himself from the hardcore conspiracy theorists. After all, he was just commenting on the news. He's expressing an opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What Poole kept from his younger, overwhelmingly male, decidedly right-leaning audience during this time is that he seemed to have a pretty good idea of what? He seemed to have a pretty good idea of what would happen on January 6th. Dude, I've had messages from people saying they're already got plans to rush to DC as soon as November 3rd goes chaotic, Poole said in early September during a recorded conversation with the Daily Beast. I don't think that has anything to do with January 6th. I'm sorry. Like, everyone expected election fraud. That has nothing to do with January 6th. That, like, everyone expected election fraud. I'm sorry. Like, a lot of us were talking about this. This was not a surprise. A few minutes later, Poole added, the right-wing militias, the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, and just the Proud Boys and Trump supporters, they're going to rush full speed to D.C. They're going to take the White House and do whatever they can, and paramilitary. Poole made these comments to then colleagues at the media company he started. The following month, Poole used his YouTube platform to say the Oath Keepers had been unjustly smeared by the Southern Poverty Law Center. He habitually comes, like, I've come to the defense of the Proud Boys too. I'm going to be honest, like, this is the reality. The Proud Boys, anytime I was in DC, the Proud Boys were there, and the Proud Boys did more to keep people safe than the police. I'm sorry, that's the reality. That's the reality. The Proud Boys protected me when I was there for the Million MAGA March in November. Like, I feel completely safe around the Proud Boys. I have no problem with them. The glaring omission was not out of character for Poole. Far from it. A former digital media journalist who originally built his name with an on-the-ground reporting and live streaming, including stints at Vice and Fusion, Poole now postures as a rational centrist or disaffected liberal who grew to loathe the excesses of the left. If you buy Poole's branding, he stands in contrast to the bulk of his journalistic peers. Evil, liars, he says, who supposedly capitulated to the agendas of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Democrats, big tech companies, feminists, and the like. I agree with him. I don't disagree with anything in this article. Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm like on Tim Poole's side on this article. And that makes me a little bit panicky, if I'm honest. But, like, I'm on Tim Poole's side so far in this article. Tim Poole is, like, basically a lefty. He really is. He's in favor of universal healthcare. I'm on Tim Poole's side in this article so far. The self-generated mythology, an anti-authoritarian truth-teller whose successes stemmed from confronting the machine, as Poole puts it, bears little resemblance to reality. Okay, you haven't presented any evidence of that yet, Daily Beast. Contrary to the overall manner in which Poole portrays himself, he is not an intrepid field reporter and streamer who barreled into conflict zones filled with an unshakable desire to ferret out the real story. That's true. Yeah, okay, let's just acknowledge, like, Tim Poole reads stories from his $1 million mansion. Like, that's what he does. He doesn't go out into the field. He doesn't go to events. He doesn't go to stuff. Right? Like, that's true. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. It just means he doesn't go out. Like, and that's fine. Like, that's his choice. Poole was at times reluctant to leave the safety of his hotel room, according to several of nearly 30 former coworkers and other acquaintances from the past decade who spoke with the Daily Beast. To be honest, I absolutely understand that. Like, when I do walkaway events, I don't leave the hotel almost never. I won't say never, but, like, when I do walkaway events and stuff, like, I don't leave the hotel unless, like, I'm with other people. I really don't. Like, every once in a while I will, but not usually. It's like I'm pretty much like I'm hunkering down and I'm staying in the damn hotel. So I understand that. I really do. Yeah, and like Patrice said, he used to go out and got famous and mod. Like, I totally understand this. Like, Tim Poole is, like, way more famous than me, and, like, even, like, if I'm doing, like, walkaway events or something, I'll get recognized on the street. And it's uncomfortable because, like, you don't know who people are. You don't know what intent they have. Like, especially after Dallas, when we all got chased by Black Lives Matter, like, that was terrifying for me. It really, really was. Like, and I've had people just being out or like recognizing me in an airport or something, and it's scary. It is. You don't know what these people's motives are. All right, let's see. He'd come across as uninterested in interviewing subjects or doing much research. Doing shoots, Poole's head was frequently buried in his phone, diligently tracking social media, only to blame his coworkers or equipment when he couldn't live up to his clippings. Poole's main focus when reporting those on the ground with him said was drawing attention to himself. I don't know that I necessarily buy that. I don't know that I buy that. I've always thought that he listen, like, I don't always agree with Tim Pool, but, like, I've always thought that he was trying to do his best with what he was given, to be honest. To tell the truth, at least. To tell the truth, to give an accurate portrayal. That's been my impression, anyway. A coward and phony, a joke, staggeringly arrogant, totally full of shit, not smart, and a bumbling doofus are a representative sample of how those who worked for Poole at digital media companies described him. Most did so on the condition of anonymity. Oh, isn't that convenient? And in some instances, citing possible reprisals by Poole and harassment from his fans. Well, harassment from his fans is real. I've been harassed by Tim Poole's fans. It's not the most fun thing in the world. But I will say, like, I don't perceive Tim Pool to be, and again, I've never even spoken to the guy, but I don't perceive him to be a bumbling doofus. I perceive him to be a very smart person. I think he's a very smart person. I don't perceive him to be I do perceive him to be a little arrogant. I do. I think he's arrogant. I think that he does not like smart women. I really don't think he likes strong women. I think there's a thing with him where like he keeps himself surrounded by like weak people, but especially weak women. Except for Cassandra Fairbanks, who's like a different thing, but I have theories behind that I'm not going to share on this one. But like overall, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's very hard worker. I think he's a little arrogant. I think he likes being in control. I think he likes being the smartest person in the room. I think all those things are true, but I'm not going to ding him too much for that, you know? It is what it is. Since then, Poole has discovered a style of commentary and audience where a lack of knowledge or journalistic skills might not prove an impediment to success. I don't think that Tim Poole lacks journalistic skills. In some ways, incuriosity and incapacity serve as valuable attributes in this medium, not solely because of the political valiance, but thanks in part to how YouTube itself functions, rewarding the kind of high volume, sensationalized, and sloppy churn Poole specializes in. Well, I do think that YouTube absolutely rewards things that are sensationalized. Oh, hang on. Apparently, I'm having trouble streaming to Odyssey right now. What's going on Odyssey? Who the hell knows? Whatever. Yeah, I mean, I do think that YouTube rewards sensationalized. But like, it is what it is. That's not Tim Pool's fault. I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. No. And when it made Poole both exceedingly rich and one of the most watched independent YouTube political pundits in the country, over 3.3 million subscribers, 1.5 billion views, and by all estimates, hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue per month, he earned $600,000 in August 2020, and most of it came from YouTube, Poole claimed in a recorded conversation. Good for him. I'm sorry, good for him. Like, good for him. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Tim Poole provides value. He gets paid in value. Yeah, I mean, I think that she's probably a very nice person. I never had an issue with her. I don't think she's strong, though. I'm sorry. Don't think she's strong. Yeah, exactly. It's their thing, man. Like, it's their thing. I have no direct issue with Lydia. I don't. Okay. Unlike his peers in conservative media, Poole hasn't wasn't boosted by the usual suspects. Neither could the Koch brothers, the Mercer clan, nor another deep-pocketed billionaire forked over seed money, and he didn't face Facebook's algorithms. Fox News was more or less ignored him. He has institutional Republican as has the institutional. Sorry, guys, I'm getting a little drunk, so it's like I'm reading the best I can. As has the institutional Republican Party and its network of well-founded think tanks. This is what happens when I do reaction articles on Happy Hour, okay? Now, right-wingers and far-right figures, many of whom might not be welcomed on the platform to the left Tucker Carlson tonight, not only have taken notice, but they come to him. So what? So what? Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. I think that this is the type of woman that Tim likes, and that's his business. That's his business. He's allowed to like that. That's fine. You know? She does her job very well. She does exactly the job that Tim wants her to do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. It's not here or there. It's not right or wrong. It's not better or worse, you know? It is what it is. In 2020 and continuing through 2021, a rotating cast of Stop the Steal activists, Capitol rioters, QAnon and Pizzagate promoters, 9/11 truthers, grifters, anti-vaxxers, anti-Semites, misogynists, cranks, and neo-fascists trundled down to Pool's Maryland podcast studio to appear on Tipcast IRL. His 2-hour-plus long YouTube live stream, their Pool, allows them to peddle their wares before 6-digit audiences and receive very little, if any, pushback. This should come as no surprise. Whenever a right-leaning politician or personality or group enters the circle, Tim finds a way to sand down their actual stated beliefs or claim ignorance. Well, I mean, listen, I haven't watched that podcast in like forever, but my perception is that like Tim lets people say what they want to say. And I think that sometimes he should probably push back, but I think he also lets people say what they want to say. Like, that's what journalists should do. They should let people say what they want to say. And, you know, my perception, again, this is my very, very outside perception, is that he tries to get lefties to come on and they say no. So what's he going to do? It's like he can't force people by gunpoint to come on his podcast. You know what I'm saying? Business is booming. Per Pool, with 12 employees on payroll since April, a prominence made possible in no small part by YouTube promoting his work to its front page. I know for a fact, he said during a December live stream, the YouTube algorithm drives the majority of my content. At other times, he'll complain that YouTube is suppressing his content and will soon ban him outright. I mean, he definitely does do that. I don't think YouTube's banning him anytime soon. YouTube picks and chooses which content gets views and which creators become famous, he told a Twitter follower. Apparently, they've chosen Pool. I agree with that. YouTube fucking loves Tim Pool. YouTube is never going to get rid of Tim Pool. Tim Pool makes YouTube a lot of money. He does. I'm sorry, he does. And, you know, again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing effing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with anything that they've said he's done so far. And I say that not even liking the guy. Like, come on, this is ridiculous. Oh my God. This beer is so good. It's so good, it tastes just like pumpkin pie. For some time now, misinformation has proliferated and its merchants have thrived on YouTube, particularly on the right. 3 years ago, Pool's channel was included in studies about how YouTube serves as a radicalization vector, algorithmically leading viewers to seek out far-right content and creators and content. But his evolution indicates that YouTube doesn't just impact audiences. The money and fame radicalizes creators too. YouTube did not respond to a request for comment. The proof lies in his corrupt input despite his continued insistence on being viewed as center-left. A Daily Beast review of hundreds of hours of Pool's commentaries revealed a consistent, if broad, I don't know what that word is, no matter what ginned up atrocity is roiling the online right on any given day, Poole routinely will deem it a crucial sign pointing towards civilization-ending crisis or imminent civil war. Sometimes he'll declare that a civil war is already underway. Who is to blame? A vaguely defined, yet omnipresent, menacing left-wing order. Okay. So here's the thing. Like, I do think that sometimes Tim Pool does not behave responsibly. I do. I don't think that having Vosh on his channel is a responsible thing to do. I'm sorry. I don't think it's responsible. I don't think that declaring that civil war is imminent or already happening is a responsible thing to do. I don't. I'm sorry. But the fact of the matter is that Tim Pool is entitled to have his opinion. He's entitled to have an opinion. Like, and people go to him because of his opinion. And I do think that his opinion is like not necessarily unfounded. It may ultimately end up being correct, but like he's allowed to have a flipping opinion. The Daily Beast is pissed because he is having and expressing an opinion. That is like totally allowed. He's allowed to do that. Do you notice too, like, look at all the links in this article. Holy shit. They did so much research on him. It's so crazy. Okay. Was it though? Like, honestly, I haven't watched it and I'm not going to, but did someone understand critical race theory in that? Please, for the love of effing God, tell me that one of them understood what they were talking about. Honestly, I'm asking this question honestly. Did any of them understand what they were talking about? I really hope that someone understood it, to be honest. Like, I only care that this is defeated. That's all I care about. And Tim kind of sucked at it the first time. Anyway. As a matter of course, Poole depicts people and groups on the left as potential bomb-tossing radicals or authoritarian lunatics, cultural shifts or gestures towards social and radical justice will lead to chaos and gulags. Stop with victims of morality policing, like the McCloskeys, according to Poole. And if the police are now siding with the terrorists like BLM and Antifa, perhaps the time has come to flee the cities and stock up on firearms, as Poole has done himself. I don't disagree with any of that. I'm sorry, I don't disagree. I live in New Hampshire. We have bought a couple of guns since this whole thing started. My husband just bought an AR-15 the other day. He's very happy with it. And it's like, I completely agree with Tim on all this stuff. I'm sorry. I completely agree. Patrice says they did not discuss CRT other than an academic movement, but not really what they're doing. I don't think Tim is too interested in getting into the weeds about that. All right. Well, that's disappointing since it was framed as a CRT debate, but what can you do? If none of them understand CRT, none of them can debate CRT. What can you do? At least Tim didn't say anything stupid like he did the first time. I guess that's all right. All right. They will never stop coming. They will take your job away. They will come for your parents. Poole said in a keyed up June 2020 live stream, lambasting those who don't push back against the horde of woke cultists. I agree with Tim on this one. I think everyone needs to be pushing back. You will do something wrong, they'll fire your mom. That's actually true. They will come to your house with fireworks and guns. I mean, that's not true for everyone, but it is true for some people. Flee to the Free State Project and mount that like button. Yes, Dragon Water. Yes. Flee to the Free State of New Hampshire, my friends, and mount that like button, please and thank you. Oh my God, they cited this Twitter. Are you effing kidding me? Oh my God. See, like, here's the thing. Like, people like the Daily Beast, like, I don't even like Tim Pool, and they make it impossible for me to not take his side because they're blatantly trying to smear him. I'm sorry. I don't even like him. Like, in theory, I should be on the Daily Beast side, but they make it effing impossible when they do shit like this. I'm sorry. They have not said anything. Like, Tim Pool has done nothing wrong. I'm sorry. Not according to this article so far. All right. Recently, Poole hired a far-right extremist to run his website, and in private, he'll go beyond howling about civil war. On a few occasions, he'll put it more explicitly, a race war is soon to come. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, like, Cassandra Fairbanks, like, listen, there was an article, like, Cassandra Fairbanks is a right bitch. I'm just going to say it. Cassandra Fairbanks is an evil, evil, evil bitch. And I've said so publicly, and there was and Cassandra Fairbanks got an article written about me saying, Carlin wants me fired. I don't give a fuck if Tim Poole hires Cassandra Fairbanks. I do not give a fuck. That is his choice. That is his downfall. But she is an alt-right, goddammit. Like, I'm sorry. I see her name all over the extremist shit that I see on the right. I think it's a stupid move on his part. But he's allowed to hire her. That's his business. That's his job. But she's a bitch. I'm sorry. Anyone who thinks Cassandra Fairbanks is a real journalist is like fooling themselves. She's not a real journalist. Sorry. She gets things right every now and again, but she's a bitch. Cheers, guys. This is Carlin in third beer state right now. I'm going to tell the truth. If you have any super chats with especially saucy questions, now might be the time to send them in. I'm just saying. All right, let's see. Yeah, Tim did have Lily Tang Williams on. Lily Tang Williams is awesome. Lily Tang Williams is the best. She's the real deal. I am completely in support of that. When Poole said so to Tarek Johnson, a black then employee of his defunct media company in 2019, he also told him to choose a side because his ex-boss couldn't ascertain which side you're going to be on, is how Johnson recalled Poole phrasing it. Two individuals familiar with the events backed up Johnson's account. I don't even understand what they're saying there, to be honest. Don't understand what they're saying. When reached for comment, Poole fervently denied telling Johnson about a race war and called any suggestion he had insane, citing his content and mixed race heritage. Okay, like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I think that Tim Poole cites that he's like half Asian, like, way too much. I think he leans on it way too much. I think it's a crutch. I don't think it makes sense. Poole further disputed any of the claims and descriptions of events in this article and alleged they were provided by individuals who harbored a personal vendetta against him. His responses can be read here. Okay, fine. Poole's journey from beanie-clad Occupy Wall Street live streamer to reactionary social media performer per the Southern... Oh my God. Did the Southern Poverty Law Center do a thing on him? May seem improbable at face value, but some who've known him aren't exactly surprised. Okay. So Joshua's age, just joking. Lily is cool. Joshua is 2 years older than I am. Joshua is 42. Yes, he is. Don't tell him I said that. Don't tell Joshua that I told you guys how old he is. He'll be very upset, but Joshua's 42. He's older than me. It's a trajectory I've seen before, almost always with young and youngish men who are laser focused on making their own careers that they arrive at racism and misogyny. Almost by accident, because that's what gets the most clicks, says Lori Penny, a reporter and writer who's covered far-right provocateurs and also knew Poole when he worked at Vice. Okay, I don't trust a damn thing Lori has to say about this because Tim Poole is not alt-right. I'm sorry, that's stupid. Timothy Daniel Poole was born in 1986 in Chicago. Scant biographical information exists beyond what Poole has made public, but during his childhood, his father, a now retired firefighter, and mother who sold cars, divorced. The family then fell into financial distress, he said. He attended a private Catholic school through the 5th grade before transferring to a public school and dropping out by age 14, the year he received all Fs in a progress report. My comprehension level is much higher than that of many of my teachers. I actually probably agree with that. I think Tim Poole's very smart. Thank you, Dragon Water. This is why I like you. Yes. My comprehension level is much higher than that of my teachers, Poole says, and so school made him miserable. That's not uncommon, by the way, with really smart people. It's just not uncommon that they get really bored in school. Joshua used to get really bored in school. I got bored in school. jobs in retail and as a baggage handler at American Eagle Airlines while a teenager and sued the Transport Workers Union, confirmed Poole was a member. Videos from his time show Poole dabbled in tech and skateboarding. The latter did not abate. Poole erected 2 custom-built skate ramps at a nearly $1 million 8-bedroom Maryland compound he bought in September 2020. So what? So what? Tim Poole likes skateboarding. Who the hell cares? He's allowed to do what he wants to do in his own house. In his early 20s, Poole did some street canvassing for nonprofits, soliciting donations and signatures. That much is certain. Poole, however, has described the bulk of these jobs in ways that strain credulity. I've not found that to be the truth. I've listened to him describe those jobs, and he's pretty dead on accurate in describing those jobs. Sometimes Poole held position of fundraising, events, and marketing director for one nonprofit he claimed, and a manager of one of the biggest fundraising companies and nonprofits in the world. Other titles include fundraising director at a homeless shelter, nonprofit director, director at several activist organizations, and even fundraising director for many nonprofits. Poole rarely names the organizations in one video. He says it's to avoid possible litigation, but that doesn't explain why no jobs are listed on his LinkedIn page prior to 2013. On occasion, Poole lets a few names slip. Listen, if you go to my LinkedIn page right now, which I haven't updated in probably 2.5 years, you are not going to see the full jobs that I had. Why? Because it's none of your damn business. Like, people are allowed to list what they want to on their LinkedIn page. There are jobs that I don't list on my LinkedIn page for an effing reason. I don't begrudge him that. That's his choice. Who the hell cares? It's LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn. Who the hell cares? My God. What's this about? Carlin, the website's really? What did they post about me? Someone tell me what they posted about me, please. Someone tell me what they posted about me. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't really care. Is that real? I'm not even a celebrity. How does a celebrity website have something posted about me? I don't understand. Fine, whatever. Someone tell me what's posted, please. On air and in private, Poole has claimed he worked for Great Lakes Coalition, the Human Rights Campaign, Greenpeace, and Children's International. Representatives from those organizations said they had no record of Poole directly working for them, though Greenpeace records only dated back to 2008. I don't care. No, I don't have... What? No, I don't have a Wikipedia article. Wait, is this true? Is this website saying I'm gay? And I'm writing about the LGBT... Is this true? Can someone link me to this, please? Is LinkedIn actually useful? I mean, it can be. There are times when I've used LinkedIn, but not a lot. I use LinkedIn to get that like Washington Post guy. That Washington Post guy reached out to me via LinkedIn first. So, wait, that's true? Can someone please give me a link to this? Can someone please give me a link to this? We'll do this next. I'm not gay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really like dick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint Celeb Pie or whatever the fuck that website is. I'm sorry. In a direct message to a Twitter follower, Poole said he'd been a supervisor with the Public Interest Research Group. Though the Public Interest Research Group denied employing him directly, a spokesperson for the Fund of Public Interest, a canvassing organization affiliated with PIRG, confirmed that Tim worked as a canvasser or field manager in California for a few weeks. Between April and May 2020, Poole has mentioned working for an unnamed subcontractor which serves nonprofits. That said, he definitely didn't run any fundraising, the spokesperson said. Who cares? Holy shit. Holy shit. Okay, Jaya? Okay, hang on. We might need to do... Hang on. celebhigh.com/Carlin Borisenko. Holy shit. Okay, impromptu fact check. Impromptu fact check. I'm sorry, impromptu fact check. They edited that picture, by the way. That didn't come out looking like that. Holy shit. A link to Celeb Pie would be awesome. Impromptu fact check. Okay, we're taking a break from this Tim Pool article to read this article about me and apparently my sexuality. Carlin Borisenko, an American YouTuber and organizational psychologist who used social media to spread positive vibes among people. She's the creator and owner of Zen Workplace. True. Carlin is also gay. No, I'm not. I don't know why it's showing. Sorry. I am definitely not gay. I am 100% not gay. I am married to a dude. What the fuck? She writes about the... No, I don't write about the LGBT... What the fuck? She writes about the LGBT community and gender equality more often. Her latest article was about... I did write an article about the gender pay gap, but like... I said it didn't exist. An MBA and PhD in psychology, Carlin is also a writer. Yes, her book Zen Your Work describes how people can create safe and positive workplace. Besides, she's a political commentator. She was a supporter of the Democratic Party until 2020. Yes, that's true. Tell Victor he is a girl now. Oh my God. What the fuck? Moreover, she's a perfect example of people who want to reform... Oh, that's actually really nice. Okay, she's a perfect example of people who want to reform society for good. She's an activist, author, writer, and psychologist. Carlin is just someone who wants to make the world a better place. Yes. All right, Celeb Pie, you're redeeming yourself. 10 facts. Carlin is an American YouTuber and psychologist who's creator of Zen Workplace. Yes. Despite her efforts as an activist, Carlin is yet to have a Wikipedia biology. She will grow to have one soon. Well, this remains to be seen. I would actually prefer not to have a Wikipedia biography, but that's all right. Unfortunately, we don't have Carlin Borisenko's age and birthday at the moment. She has not shared any of them. My age is too fucking old. And I'm not sharing my birthday. It's April 12th, okay? You don't get the year. However, her nationality is American and she is white. True. Moreover, Carlin has also earned a great deal of money from her good works. Her net worth, however, remains under review for now. And yeah, you're not going to fucking know it. She is a YouTuber. A psychologist posts tips and tutorials for a Zen Workplace on YouTube. I haven't posted tips about a Zen Workplace on YouTube for a while, but okay, maybe I should. As of now, she has more than 105,000 subscribers, I guess. In addition to that, you can find Carlin Borisenko on her Instagram as well. Her Instagram follower count is somewhere over 7,500. Yeah, it's like 9,000 something. I don't even know. Moreover, I say the psychologist is no, I am not. Like, how can you write that I'm gay and then write that you have no known facts about my husband? I'm not gay. I'm sorry. I like dick. I'm sorry. You can always visit her personal website to get to know her better. Also, she has a bio on Google Books. All right. If that's what my Wikipedia article ends up being like, I'm going to be really disappointed. If when I get a Wikipedia article, someone says I'm gay, I'm going to be really annoyed. I'm sorry. What the fuck? Can someone email them and tell them I'm not gay? My God. All right, let's go back to Tim. All right. They really do want me to be gay. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm sorry. I know lesbians love me, but I'm just not gay. I'm sorry. Oh my God. My God. I have no problem with lesbians. I'm just not. Yeah, exactly. I'm gay and apparently I have a husband. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. All right. Turning street canvassing or a low-grade supervisory role into a lofty title of fundraising director could be dismissed as mere resume pumping, but Poole cites his past work experiences when inveighing against charities or labeling all nonprofits corrupt. Most nonprofits are corrupt, I'm sorry. As if he were privy to their inner workings. Most of the nonprofits I've worked at, I think they're all scams, said Poole. A racket designed to wring cash from donors. They're really just paying themselves. In his comments to the Daily Beast, Poole mentioned he did work for Children's International and Greenpeace, though he did not say what his title was, and neither organization's records confirmed his employment. Poole further claimed he was a director or manager for 2 nonprofits he can't name, citing settlement agreements. Well, if he has a settlement with them, it's probably like a severance package, which means he probably got fired. But like that's just speculation. I mean, I don't know. Like, I generally agree with Tim that I think that that most nonprofits are actually corrupt. I agree with him on that. Sorry. By summer 2011, Poole was living with his brother Chris in Newport News, Virginia, after seeing images of police violence in September from Occupy Wall Street protests at Zuccotti Park. He hopped on a bus. Good for him. In New York City, Poole hooked up with Henry Ferry, then an out-of-work realtor and sales manager. The Poole began documenting the unfolding political movement on a then relatively new streaming service, Ustream. Before long, Poole had assumed an on-camera role. The live videos took off, and they decided to form a media company called The Other 99. Good for them. That's what you should do. Take advantage of opportunities, man. Cheers to Tim Poole. He took advantage of an opportunity. That's what you should all do. And again, I don't even like him. And like everything the Daily Beast is trying to pin on him is bullshit. The bare bones DIY operation Poole filmed using only his cell phone was often able to get greater access and immediacy than some legacy media shops, adding to their bona fides. The other 99 weren't perceived as neutral observers, but rather actively involved with the movement. Eventually, network and cable news programs began recording their footage. Live streams lasting for hours became a trademark too, including a notable 21-hour stretch when cops cleared out the park. Good for him. Within a month, Poole raked up more than 2 million unique views, a substantial social media following, and near universal positive coverage from a wide array of both online and print publications. Awards and accolades followed hard upon. Poole was dubbed the eyes of the movement by Time magazine. Good for him. Some other activists weren't buying the hype. Timothy Fitzgerald and Tess Cohen were both members of the General Assembly, the organizational hub for Occupy. All appearances to the contrary, Poole never aligned with the movement, they said. This is 100% Poole's mythology, according to Cohen. Fitzgerald described Poole's participation as a branding exercise, a leveraging of Occupy's brief notoriety to elevate his own profile. Unlike live streamers who were working with the GA, Poole was soliciting donations to the other 99. So who cares? Who cares? Wait, hang on. Carlin, your wiki is the same as the art. Wait, what wiki? What wiki? What wiki are you talking about, Dragonwater? I have no idea. Please tell me there's not an actual Wikipedia thing up. Please tell me there's not please tell me there's not. Oh my god. Dude, I've been married for 10 fucking years. I'm sorry. I am sorry I'm not the lesbian that all the lesbians wish I was. I'm sorry. I'm just not. Please tell me what wiki you're talking about, Dragonwater. I have no idea what you're talking about. All right. Unlike live streamers who were working with the GA, Poole was soliciting donations to the other 99. This engendered a certain amount of suspicion, if not resentment. The other 99 disbanded in 2012, with Poole and Ferry both firing off accusations of mismanaged funds and misplaced priorities. The Daily Beast was not able to reach Ferry for comment. Many GA-affiliated live streamers like Cohen also felt a duty to not only detail the day-to-day activities of Occupy, but advance the cause. Poole differed. Dude, he shouldn't be advancing the cause. That is not the role of a journalist. The role of the journalist is not to advance the cause. He intended to gravitate more towards action and conflict, Cohen said, whether it was a police crackdown or protesters engaging in civil disobedience and at times illegal activities. To her, Poole crossed a line. Dude! Oh, God. What is this? Hang on. Fucking hell. wiki.projecttopics.org/133351 Herlin Borisenko. What the fuck? All right, I don't know what that is. Whatever. Many J-affiliated live streamers, like Cohen, also felt a duty to not only detail the day-to-day activities of Occupy, but advance the cause. Pool differed. Okay, we already read that. I'm not about to endanger other people by creating evidence that could be used against them, and he's happy to do that, she said. Poole has boasted that the police watched his Occupy. Listen, man, if you're doing something illegal and you get caught on a live stream, that is your own fucking fault. Poole has boasted that the police watched his Occupy streams. Poole parachuted into Occupy without understanding its ideological underpinnings, Cohen explained. Over time, protesters grew increasingly wary of Poole's presence and made it clear he wasn't welcome. During one broadcast, his phone was knocked out of his hand. I mean, you guys wonder why he's afraid to leave his house? Poole would maintain, both to protesters and in interviews, that his adherence to objectivity and transparency meant sharing almost everything he recorded. Few would quibble with his explanation from a reporter or citizen journalist, but Poole openly presented himself as a pro-Occupy activist. I mean, he is quite a lefty. I don't consider myself a journalist. I consider myself an activist 100%, he told On the Median in November 2011, who was there to support the movement. Once Occupy was out of the news cycle, Poole flipped. I'm not an activist, he told I don't know how to pronounce that. 10 months later, he was, however, now calling himself a journalist. Well, he's allowed to do that. He's allowed to do that. He was, let's see. I don't align with Occupy Wall Street and never did, he said. His definition of objectivity doesn't hold up for Cohen either. Well, obviously this person is, like, this pisses me off, man. Like, if I have to defend Tim Poole, who I don't even like, this just pisses me off. Like, this is not correct. By singularly focusing on cop confrontation and acts of dubious legality at best, he had as much of a biased lens as we did, she said in a follow-up email. Well, that's her opinion. Viral-ready videos of this sort have become something of a growth industry on the right. He wasn't there to document a complicated political movement. He was there to get views, and the conflict is what got views. So what? So what? Who cares? These days, Poole paints a harsher picture of Occupy. It was so crooked, he claimed. What's more, his opinions were rejected out of hand because others assumed he was white. When he identified as having mixed race background, Poole's maternal grandmother is Korean, Occupy welcomed his contributions. Well, that's an important point. What do you say? These people were racist, the most racist people I've ever encountered in my life, Poole claimed in February, more so than the avowed racists and members of the alt-right that he's spoken to. Well, I disagree with that, but please. Yeah, Cassandra Fairbanks has lied about me on multiple occasions, has planted articles about me that were blatantly false, has sent thousands of her fans into my feed to harass me. Cassandra Fairbanks is a right bitch, and I'm not changing my tune on that. Sorry. I'm sorry if it defends your fragile sensibilities. I'm sorry. I've had 3 beers. They've been really beefy beers. I'm going to say Cassandra Fairbanks is a right bitch. She's a bitch. That's it. This article is projecting. Well, you're goddamn right it is, Dragon Water. Yes. And I'm even, as much as a bitch as I think Cassandra Fairbanks is, I'm still fucking defending Tim Poole in the face of this article, and I don't like that. I'm sorry. Like, this is wrong. This is ridiculous. Like, I wasn't reading this expecting that I was going to have to say this is all bullshit and defending someone I don't even like, but whatever. Asked about Poole's story, Fitzgerald replied, This sounds like totally fabricated, overheard at a local coffee shop type anecdote meant to launder the false notions that racial justice is zero sum. As someone who's documented hundreds of meetings, Fitzgerald said the idea Poole was discouraged from participating is easily disprovable. Poole never participated in public conversations, let alone tried to speak up. In reality, white identified folks like myself were more than welcome at Occupy Wall Street, and Occupy's efforts to lift up voices of people who have been marginalized did not come at anyone's expense, she continued. So that definitely would not have happened. Well, that's an opinion. That's an opinion. David asked, what is my opinion of Candace Owens? I don't know Candace Owens. I've never spoken to Candace Owens. I will defer to Brandon Strock and his opinion on Candace Owens. So go ask Brandon. I mean, like, I don't, like, I've already explained this in this stream. If you missed it, rewind. For the next year and a half, Poole struck out on his own. Poole made appearances at South by Southwest and journalism panels, and he continued reporting from the field. Offers to crank out ghost-written books or work for an unnamed TV news program were turned down, Poole claimed. A hackerspace in upstate New York he was helping launch never appeared to have materialized. Funds were solicited for a documentary of the ongoing Occupy-related protests, which also apparently went unfinished. I mean, so what? So what? Like, none of this is incriminating. The novelty of live stream broadcasts was very much held in high regard, the harbinger of new, democratized, and decentralized kinds of reportings. Poole viewed it as its avatar. Vice hired him in spring 2013 when the site was thriving. A partnership with HBO had been announced. Guys, okay, so question. So, did anyone see a video of me on Vice News? Because they told me that they were going to use one of my CRT speeches and I never saw anything from it. So did anyone see that? I'm just asking. That was recently. That was like the last, definitely in the last month or so. And if they didn't use it, that's fine. But they definitely asked me about it. A partnership with HBO had been announced, and within months, Rupert Murdoch would buy a 5% stake, valuing it at $1.4 billion. By 2017, an additional cash infusion led to a $1.7 billion valuation. Over time, questions about Vice's long-term financial stability. Poole's appeal to the outlet was a one-man content creator able to jet from location to location at a moment's notice and attract gobs of viewers. It didn't take long before the staff had soured on their new hire. Some former colleagues pointed to Poole's evident lack of reporting experience or skills, save for his ability to hit play on a live stream. Well, that's pretty important, don't you think? It's pretty important. He was bringing nothing to the table, a former Vice producer said. It felt like we were being conned. I don't buy that for a second. Sorry. Poole's first Vice trip to Istanbul, Turkey, saw his colleagues' worries borne out. Okay, can we acknowledge that, I'm sorry, Vice is not exactly like the paragon of virtue when it comes to journalism. I don't believe anything they say. An ex-Vice staffer familiar with the shoot described their issues, with much of the footage Poole sent back, him sitting in his hotel room and talking to the camera, and once the conflict has subsided, emerging to point and gawk at the rubble. The initial version of the short documentary didn't pass muster with their Vice superiors, they claimed, and if only because they'd failed to make it seem as if Poole was on the front lines of the unrest. It had to be drastically re-edited to be released. So what? So what? Sometimes things have to be edited. It's the way it is. At a different shoot in Thailand, Vice sent 2 teams of reporters. One positioned itself in the thick of the protest. Poole rode on a moped on the outskirts of town, shouting into the camera and removed from the conflict. It was just hilarious, a person who worked with Poole at the time said. A February 2014 shoot in Venezuela ended abruptly. Yeah, he explained that on his channel. I remember watching this video. He literally explained this on his channel. According to Poole, he was forced to flee the country after a high-profile pro-Maduro media figure accused him of being a spy. Should he ever return, he would be killed, Poole has claimed. Yeah, dude, I would have done the same thing as him. His trepidations were certainly understandable. Providing coverage during civil unrest and from conflict zones can spook even seasoned hands, let alone someone who isn't familiar with the lay of the land, a former senior Vice editorial employee explained. But Poole had trouble fessing up to his fears, multiple Vice sources said. Instead, he tossed out thinly veiled excuses, pinning his reluctance to leave the hotel on problems with his technical gear or producers not comprehending the severity of the situation. Poole strongly disagreed with the criticisms of field reporting. I covered the, I don't know what that means, park protest to smashing success, he told the Daily Beast. Back at Vice's Brooklyn office, Poole found ways to alienate his colleagues. One female ex-Vice staffer recalled a 2013 conversation with Poole in which he told her point blank, "Women are too emotional to be good journalists. Their feelings get in the way." I don't believe he said that. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. An individual who was present for the exchange confirmed her account. Another confirmed they'd been told by the female staffer at the time. Poole told the Daily Beast it was absurd to think he made that comment. I don't believe he said that. I'm sorry. I don't. Somewhat relatedly, 2 years ago, Poole announced that he wanted a wife who would stay at home and raise his children as opposed to having her own career. So what? So what? He's allowed to want that. We are allowed to have preferences. It bothered Poole that this desire was now viewed as socially unacceptable. Poole complained last year that feminism had negatively impacted his ability to find a romantic partner and start a family. You know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me, he said. I think it's everyone else. I mean, doesn't he have a girlfriend? I think he has a girlfriend, so he's doing okay. When Poole was given an early version of Google Glass, he strolled around the office broadcasting his coworkers' activity live. It was viewed by some advice as a transparent attempt to bolster the image he'd been cultivating, a reporter who availed himself of the latest in bleeding. So what? Oh my God, these people are so petty. These people are so petty. He walked around the office wearing Google Glass. Who cares? A reporter who availed himself in the latest bleeding edge technology to expand the boundaries of reporting. Of course, there was nothing worth filming in the early 2010s media shop, save for people sitting at their desks, writing stories and whatnot. Baffled staffers either did their best to ignore him or were forced to politely ask that he stop recording without their consent. This is so stupid. Vice also provided reporters working in conflict zones with protective gear. Poole said he would wear a flak jacket in the office per multiple Vice sources. Several Vice employees thought it was laughable or made him look like a poser, but others found his behavior downright offensive. One longtime Vice editorial staffer said since Vice reporters had been detained by hostile foreign governments, in their eyes, Poole treated the gear like a cosplay outfit. So what? So I'm so baffled at this article. This is crazy. Touting his own bravery, accomplishments, Vice paycheck, or the famous people he knew didn't go over well either. On one point, he brought hacker turned Nazi troll Andrew Weave, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, to the Vice newsroom and paraded him around, which means he probably walked around with him. Who the fuck cares? The former longtime editorial staffer felt Poole was showing off, as if to say, check it out. I'm hanging with Weave. I'm so plugged into internet culture. In the documentary Hacker Wars, Poole appears in scenes with him. I can't. Guys, they're so bitter. Again, I don't even like Tim Poole. And this is crazy. This is batshit insane. God, Daily Beast, why are you making me defend Tim Poole? God fucking damn it. Why? Why? Oh, God. Another glimpse at how some Vice viewed Poole, while he was on staff, a coworker drew a satirical cartoon strip depicting him as a penis-wearing Really? Hang on. I'm sorry. I need to look at it. I'm sorry. Why? Why are you loading? All right, that's not very nice. I'm sorry. That's not very nice. I'm sorry. That's not very nice. That's not very nice. There was a deficit of ideas from Tim Pool, a former member. I don't buy that there was a deficit of ideas from Tim Pool for a second. Tim Pool has built a multi-million-dollar empire on fucking YouTube by reading articles into a video camera. I do not buy for 1 second that he is incapable of creative ideas. I'm sorry. There was frustration about his inability to do a repeat hit like his coverage of Occupy Wall Street. He had his fans in upper management and the ability to remain in their good graces also pissed people off. So what? That's their own problem. Specifically, how seemingly oblivious the upper management and the executives' advice were to the fact that Tim Pool was a total hack, a former longtime editorial staffer put it. They've provided no evidence of any of this. Poole has a different recollection of his stint at Vice. In his comments to the Daily Beast, Poole firmly insisted any allegations he'd failed to perform under duress or shied away from hazardous reporting were false. I constantly flew into the chaos, he said. As to the broader criticisms, I don't care if people say stupid things about me. People are allowed to hate me. There are many people I'm still friends with from Vice. Exactly. I agree with him. Exactly. Publicly, Poole has repeatedly stated he was both the first and founding member of Vice News. Were it not for him, Vice News might not have existed even. I convinced Vice to do real news, on-the-ground reporting, he declared in October. The outlet has been sending reporters to cover stories from far-flung locations dating back to the mid-2000s. But, who cares? Danny Gold, one of the first Vice News hires, said, while Poole had been brought on board to a vertical fairly on, he wasn't the founding member. It's not true. Multiple Vice sources agreed with Gold, who had occasionally freelanced for the Daily Beast, and the idea that he conceived Vice or convinced Vice to do the real deal on the ground reporting is not true. I don't care. Who cares? Tim Poole fudged his resume. Who the fuck cares? Everyone fudges their resume. It's the way of the goddamn world. They're jealous. I agree. This is jealousy. I agree. Poole has insinuated his colleagues were lazy and overpaid. They probably were. Inciting conversations he's had with multiple unnamed former Vice employees. Poole also says going woke had led to its downturn, financial and otherwise. Unnamed investors' capitulation to the feminists following high-profile sexual harassment allegations against Vice in 2017 was also to blame. Imagine what Vice would be today under my leadership, he mused. I mean, it probably would be a completely different organization if we're honest about it. It probably would be. His most recent attempt at creating an independent news site imploded in January. And remember, the Daily Beast did a previous hit piece on him, right? About him taking a cat hostage, which was ridiculous and also kind of hilarious. And I kind of wish someone would write a hit piece about me taking a cat hostage, if I'm honest. Does anyone have a cat they want me to take hostage? I'll totally do it. A dog would be better. I would much prefer a dog to take hostage, to be honest. The former lead reporter has filed a complaint in California charging Poole's company Subverse Inc. with engaging in retaliatory termination. Per documents obtained by the Daily Beast, Poole has filed a $1.2 million lawsuit in the state of Connecticut, accusing 2 former employees of unjust enrichment. Well, I mean, I've seen Viva Frey's article or video about this, and it kind of seems like they were trying to fuck him over. And again, like, this pisses me off. I don't even like Tim Pool. Why are these people making me defend Tim Pool? If you try to steal his company from him, which he owns what, like 70, 80% of, that's wrong. I'm sorry. They shouldn't have tried to kick him out of the GD company that he started and funded. I'm sorry. He's right. The end of Pool's year-long tenure at Vice came in the summer of 2014. Mass protests broke out in Ferguson, Missouri following the police shooting of Michael Brown. Vice sent 2 crews, including Pool, and reporters from their recently launched HBO show. But Pool struggled because he wasn't really a journalist, the staff said as part of Vice's coverage. According to questions and interviewing protesters and residents didn't seem to pique his curiosity, despite the stories they were told about disturbing interactions with the police. Pool tended to keep his head buried in his phone. It was so bizarre, said the staffer. It was always about him. No, Dragonwater says, no, I will write a hit piece about you taking Joshua hostage, Carlin. Joshua and I are talking about doing a road trip. So I might, in fact, be taking Joshua hostage, possibly to London. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Given the heightened tension in the area and expanding national conversation about race, many locals were apprehensive when approached by reporters. If you didn't strike the right tone, you could easily be dismissed. And that's what was happening over and over again with Pool, a second staffer president in Ferguson said. From their perspective, Pool was unable to overcome this obstacle because he was focused on promoting himself. It also seems as if any person of color Pool interacted with was really just had no time for him. Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot even. I can't even. This is so stupid. How much longer is this article? This article is so fucking long. Hang on. How long is this article? This article is like 18 years long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read all of this. Oh my God, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna. Okay, we're gonna keep going, but like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this. I really don't. All right. Reached by phone. Hang on. The second staffer also remarked Poole spent an inordinate amount of time on the ground checking his Twitter feed, and for reasons they couldn't ascertain, touching base with Casey, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, a popular YouTuber who was in town to provide his own coverage. Reached by phone, Casey confirmed their account during Ferguson. Tim was very intrigued with how I was able to build this brand for myself, how I was able to build my following on YouTube, he said. At first blush, the second staffer dismissed Poole as being clueless, but over the course of their shoot, their perceptions sharpened. He acted like a narcissist, someone who didn't care for other people. Dude, not everyone you don't like is a narcissist. I'm sorry. Dragonwater, we're going to have to see. I'm going to do my very best to try to make it through this article, but my voice is already going. This is crazy. Holy shit. That night in August, the other Vice reporters and producers managed to get behind the barricade law enforcement had established. Poole arrived late, had been shunted into the parking lot of a Target away from the West Florissant Avenue, where the main clashes between police and protesters took place. The live stream video from that night shows the differences in the two feeds. Poole was stunted, into a lower right-hand corner. The other Vice crews took up the rest of the screen. In the comments section, an evening unfolded. Viewers treated the two feeds as if it were a kind of competition, and Poole was losing, unsurprisingly, since they were providing real-time reporting and Poole was merely talking and speculating about things he saw from a distance. Who cares? Who effing cares? 3 years after the Ferguson protests, Poole tried to rewrite history, alleging to the New Yorker that a Vice camera woman, not him, wanted to remain on safe terrain and instead preferred to to interview the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Meanwhile, he took to the streets to cover what was happening, where he said grenades were going off. Guess which one got more views? None of this is accurate per multiple Vice sources. The camera woman he referred to was his producer. He had gotten past the barricades set up by the cops to cover what was happening in the streets, not Poole. The brief interview with Jackson took place early in the morning following an all-nighter spent shooting and editing not while the protests were taking place and never aired on Vice. And it was the other crew's videos, not Poole, which drove viewership. So what? I don't care about any of this. Following publication in December 2017, the quotes from Poole about Ferguson were removed from the New Yorker stories titled "The Live Streamers Who Challenged Traditional Journalism." The magazine wrote the changes were made because Poole's statement contained several errors. In his emailed responses to the Daily Beast, Poole claimed the excised quotes were not reflective of his comments. He expressed similar sentiments recently on YouTube, calling it a fake story. But in August 2018, Poole said, while he disagreed with the framing, the reporter who'd written the article had done a good job and had been fair. Shortly after the night of filming, Poole got on a plane while Vice continued to cover the events on the ground in Ferguson without him. It didn't take long before Poole had left Vice altogether and moved on to another gig. People are allowed to leave their jobs. They're allowed. They are allowed to leave their jobs. Who can? Dude, I mean, my God. Six Semper Tyrannis says, this is an article or effing novel. Get more beer. I have a whole glass of beer here, but I've already had 2 before this, and they were 10% beers. And this is like an 8% beer. And I'm losing my voice already, but I'm gonna try to power through. I'm sorry. Imagine your job is to write this article. It probably took many weeks at least. Dude, I can't even imagine being a person that would write this article. This is insane. This is so stupid. Like, can you imagine how much money Daily Beast wasted on this fucking bullshit hit piece article? Ugh. I'm really not wasted. I am not. I'm partially annoyed. I'm partially tired. I'm partially just like, I'm a little drunk. I'm not going to be honest. I'm like a little bit drunk. But like, I'm not wasted. I'm sorry. I'm not. Sorry. You guys always want me to get like uber drunk, and I just never do. Fusion had been on a hiring spree since 2014. Flush with Disney and Univision cast, the site had poached well-known reporters, editors, and columnists. They had access to a pricey TV studio in Florida, and a 100-person digital team was soon assembled. The same year, Fusion repeatedly suffered $35 million in losses. Holy shit. Daniel, then chief digital officer of Fusion, told the Daily Beast the protests and unrest led Fusion to believe Poole would make an ideal addition. They had pursued Poole aggressively while he was still at Vice and signed him to a 2-year contract, which he said was in the low 6 figures per year. After coming on board in September, Poole was dubbed Fusion's Director of Media Innovation. Soon enough, staffers and executives at Fusion began spotting many of the same issues Poole had cropped up at Vice. In late 2014, Fusion sent Poole back to Ferguson. Like the Vice staffers before him, the former Fusion employees familiar with the shoot said interviewing people didn't seem to pique Poole's interest that much, particularly Black people. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Dude, Peter, we did that earlier. We're moving on right now. This is what people voted for, man. I was going to watch another Kimberle Crenshaw video. The people voted for me reacting to the Tim Poole article, you know? It was a vote. It was democratic. This is how we do it. Poole took it as a given his colleagues would do the work for him. Very much a prima donna is how the Fusion employees described him. Juan La Riva, an assistant producer of Fusion who worked with Poole, had a similar experience. Poole had always come across as a know-it-all who never wanted to hear anyone's input. Well, so what? My God. In-office problems like those at Vice persisted. The editorial staff took issue with, like, okay, so all of this to me, this reads like just, this reads like just disgruntled people who are obsessed with him Honestly, this reads like scorned lovers. That's what it reads like. This is not real. I don't believe that this is real for a second. I'm sorry. I just don't. The editorial staff took issue with his reporting. People took issue with his treatment of people. Multiple Ferguson sources, or Fusion sources rather, mentioned an incident in which Poole berated a female subordinate in public to the point she was visibly upset. We didn't like him, and the feeling appeared to be mutual, said Felix, one of the splashy Fusion hires, told the Daily Beast. In October 2020, Poole suggested he didn't get along with Fusion employees either. Well, that makes sense. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. The outlet was not exactly functioning at peak capacity, according to an investigative article by Gizmodo. A culture of complacency and excess festered at Univision, Fusion's parent company. Univision, also owned by GMG, when the story was published, Fusion in particular was pinging from one content strategy to another and chasing Facebook traffic and virality at the expense of more substantial reporting. One staffer told GMG the outlet decided, we're going to be super woke millennial focused media outlet. Poole had similar complaints after being lured to Fusion with a promise of full editorial independence. He claims to have been directed to reinforce leftist pieties. Lie to the audience, tell the audience what they want to hear, is how Poole puts it. 4 years ago, Poole indicated in a Reddit AMA that that one guy whose name I can't pronounce had given him and other Fusion members orders to side with the audience. The ex-Fusion boss does not recall saying so, nor does Poole's description match company policy. Well, that doesn't mean the guy didn't say it. It just means it did. It just means they didn't put it in writing. That doesn't mean they didn't say it. To suggest we bent, ignored, or fabricated facts is simply not true. Fortunately, both Fusion's reporting and Tim's YouTube channel are public, so anyone can come to their own conclusions about who's peddling baseless narratives to fit an audience points of views. Fine. Like some of the other high-profile names on staff, Poole wasn't producing a ton of content for the site. A former Fusion staffer who worked with Poole said there were many weeks where we didn't do anything. Poole describes his stint at Fusion as having been slapped with golden handcuffs, well compensated, but with his ambitions thwarted. I sat around, he said. It was boring, and I eventually left. Poole's contract with Fusion ended in September 2016. Invariably, it's a tale he recounts constantly and with purpose. Like an origin story, he ditched Fusion and digital media as a whole because they're utterly corrupt and feckless, not because of his own failings. I'm sorry. Again, I am really, really annoyed that these people are forcing me to take the side of Tim Poole, because this was obviously just not a good fit, and I agree probably more with Tim's characterization of them than I do with this characterization, because I've worked with enough places to know that most of these places are bullshit. I'm sorry. I agree with Tim. I'm on Team Tim for the purpose of this article at the moment. Only now, unshackled from his corporate masters, could he tell you the real truth, the whole truth, the things they don't want you to know. And no one would be in a position to tell him otherwise or to stop him from getting a story floridly wrong. Well, I guess. Since being liberated from working with editors and producers, Poole's affiliations with the seediest elements of the far right have only grown. And the falsehoods have rapidly accelerated. Scroll through Poole's current output, and it's hard to find a video he's produced which does not contain some combination of rank distortions, conspiracy theories treated as if they were credible ideas, or a basic misunderstanding of the subject matter at hand. A recent study named Poole as a super spreader of falsehoods about voter fraud in the run-up to the 2020 election. Take Poole's response after a handful of stories came out about adverse responses to the vaccine in December. Maybe Poole baselessly speculated the left and the media wanted to reduce the public's confidence in the vaccine That way, they could deny Trump the rightly deserved credit for the miraculous feat and lower his popularity at the crucial moment while Trump was fighting for the presidency, he said. By July, he pivoted to fear-mongering about Biden's administration's efforts to reach the unvaccinated. Then there's Poole's record of political predictions. In 2020, he wrote, so what? This is so stupid. Dude, Tyler, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Like, it's in the other room. I don't feel like getting up. I have beer here. But, like, this is so goddamn stupid. Then there's Poole's record of political predictions. In 2020, he routinely forecasted a Trump win, possibly a 49 or 50 state landslide per Poole. When Biden won, Poole tried to retcon his history, claiming he said it was a landslide. It was tied to hypothetical contingencies, like Trump appointing Tulsi Gabbard to legalizing marijuana. Like, again, like, anyone that's citing this Twitter account, like, I don't believe that this is an accurate, like, reporting. As Poole readily admits, I turned the camera on and I rant, whether he's deeply familiar with the subject or not, for viewers to treat him as a valued source of news and a way to understand how the world really works. There's no script, there's no plan. Staking out his turf invariably leads him to an untenable position, but when confronted with concrete evidence of mistakes, Poole often doubles down. People double down all the time in the face of mistakes. Who cares? Sometimes this results in him siding with despots. Or, as was the case in 2017, he'll lend credence to the conspiracy that Seth Rich had been a source for documents published by WikiLeaks. Who effing cares? 2 years later, he denied having done so while threatening legal action against outlets, including the Daily Beast, which had accurately covered his comments. Poole announced in March that he'd been strategically posting contradictory information on his opinions and beliefs on Twitter. That way, none of his social media posts could be included in any articles about him. That's actually pretty funny, to be honest. How much longer is this article? Oh my, guys, I can't. I'm sorry. I fucking can't. I don't know if I can do this. This article is 18 years long. All right. I'm going to try. Okay. Of course, no group attacks Poole's emanate more than the mainstream media. Most reporters are morons, he said, who publish garbage, nonsensical drama, and rage bait trash. As Poole has drummed into his audience over and over again, the profession is rife with lazy, incompetent, evil vampires who are perpetually lying. Unlike him, they hate you, he often sneers. I agree with him. I'm sorry. I agree with him. Mining the right wing outrage cycles for stories and serving as a sanitized conduit to the far right for an audience desperate to have their misperceptions validated and grievances nursed has proven an extremely effective business model. For summer to early autumn of 2020, Poole's 3 YouTube channels racked up over 100 million views per month. According to Social Blade, Poole claimed he topped out around 120 million during the election season. Good for him. Good for him. Who cares? As a member of YouTube's partner program, Poole was handsomely rewarded in August 2020 alone. Poole raked in $600,000 as he'd boasted during the recorded September conversations. By Poole's calculations, YouTube accounted for 90%. In his email to the Daily Beast, Poole claimed the income total was wildly incorrect and easily disproved, but declined to provide the correct figure. Perhaps the audio had been edited without his evidence. I don't care. 2 industry experts told the Daily Beast that Poole may be exaggerating somewhat. Social Blade's public estimates of his potential earnings, however, are lower, but banking $540,000 is within the realm of possibility. If they said if Poole claimed 90% of his videos are monetized, anecdotally, the rate squares with the frequency of ads seen by the Daily Beast in its examination of Poole's content these days. And since he has then halved the number of videos produced per week, he's down to 45 million or so. About where he was in April 2020, which I actually think is a good thing, to be really honest with you. I don't know how the hell Tim Poole was doing that. I really don't. I don't know how Tim Poole was doing 6 videos a day, plus his live stream at night. Good for him. Like, I'm glad that he like reduced the amount of content because that was unsustainable. Still, though his YouTube viewership pales in comparison, Poole has prospered on YouTube. Over a year, he's easily surpassed better-known right-wing yackers like Dennis Prager, Dan Bongino, and Ben Shapiro on the platform. Steven Crowder leaked for Poole this April, the same month in which he was demonetized for violating community guidelines. The following month, Crowder was suspended for 2 weeks. That has nothing to do with anything. It is unclear how much revenue the podcast version of his videos brings in. Poole said in December the viewership numbers were dramatically lower than his YouTube. Despite the show reaching 6th place on Apple's charts as of January, he doesn't do many live ad reads on his channels, but one sponsor sells survivalist bulk food products. Poole hawked them while Texas was suffering from mass power outages during Timcast IRL podcast, which airs 5 times a week, and began last summer. Fans can pay YouTube for super chats, putting their questions to Poole at the top of the queue. On any given live stream, the take often tops 4 figures. Production expenses are minimal, he has said. How did Poole reach the levels of prominence and profits? Becca Lewis, PhD candidate at Stanford. 3 years ago, she conducted a study examining how YouTube's algorithms were funneling viewers to the far right. Poole was the central subject of her work. Like social media influencers, political YouTubers packaged themselves as more authentic and relatable, and therefore more trustworthy. The mainstream news sources, Lewis told the Daily Beast, and while a great deal of emphasis has been placed on the effect of YouTube as an audience, the converse is true. All right, I'm skipping this, guys. I'm sorry. I don't care. Poole has a few appearances on Fox News. Who cares? Collaborations. So what? So basically they're saying, like, Tim Poole talked to a lot of people that we don't like. This is crazy. In January 2019, Poole ramped his output, producing 6 videos per day, 7 days a week became the norm. I don't know how he did that. I really don't. On a good day, I might produce 3 videos, and that's really effing hard. I don't know how Tim Poole produced 6 videos a day, plus did his live show in the night. Dude, I mean, props to that guy, man. The uptick coincided with a dramatic increase in views, he said, over the last 2 months. 2 appearances on the Joe Rogan Experiences in February and March 2019 also swelled his numbers of subscribers per Poole. Within months, Poole scored an invitation to the White House social media subject, a photo op featuring online extremists, conspiracy theorists, and accorded trolls. For close to 2 years, Poole rarely took a day off. Whatever else anyone want to say about him, he maintained a rigorous, diligent 12 to 16 hours per day, according to Poole. He also insists he spends hours fact-checking. I don't necessarily believe that. And he does a lot more journalism than the New York Times reporters tend to, in contrast to his Vice and Fusion colleagues recalled of his work habits. Creating this sheer amount of content had other unforeseen impacts. Most people would be hard-pressed to maintain the baseline expertise and do the extensive research required to pump out multiple 20 to 30-minute videos per day on a range of topics or events. Poole often hits record hours after a story is reported elsewhere, most frequently blah, 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 whatever. Invariably, this production schedule and videos needing to last 10 minutes in order to maximize monetization will result in content packed with careless errors, rambling, circular or contradictory diatribes, and anecdotes which confirm his prior experiences successfully. So what? So what? If people want to watch that, that is their effing business. But as a growth strategy, it's quite shrewd. Viewers know exactly when to tune in to catch their favorite show. His broadcast times rarely change, though he ended the 6 p.m. and weekend videos in December 2020. They can be assured their extremely online skaterish millennial buddy will hit the same beats at the same points during each episode. The left has gone insane. So what? If that's what people want, so what? Even a 20-minute video from July obsessively about George Floyd Memorial, which was struck by lightning, culminates with Poole proclaiming the left is acting against the natural order and is the sworn foe of creationists. Okay, whatever. I can't, guys. I'm sorry. I cannot read this whole article. I'm losing my voice. In October. Oh, I'll read this. In October, Poole brought the leftist podcaster Vosh on Timcast IRL, which he shouldn't have done. It was grossly irresponsible, and he shouldn't have brought Vosh back this week. It's grossly irresponsible. This is a big issue I have with him. Once again, Poole came across as out of his depth. Yes, he did. No more so than when talking about critical race theory. The once obscure academic theory has become an increasingly prevalent catch-all term wielded by right-wing activists to stave off a reckoning with the ongoing racial disparities in America. More than 24 states have introduced legislation broadly targeting critical race theory in education. Yeah, Tim looked like a fucking idiot on that episode. I'm sorry, he did. He did more harm than good. Whatever. Poole was an early adopter, citing critical race theory and leftist identitarianism as the reason he voted as a straight GOP ticket. But when pressed by Vosh to define critical race theory, he was at a loss. On air, Poole blamed not having the academic definition handy. Months later, he still needed to read the Wikipedia page out loud. That night, he fired off a string of vaguely connected buzzwords. Talking about Cassandra Fairbanks. I don't really care. I think Cassandra's a right bitch. I don't really care. The night's roundtable included Lydia Smith, Poole's producer and show booker, who tweeted Pinochet memes at Ocasio-Cortez this past November, plus Crossland and Luke, a former InfoWars employee and old school 9/11 truther. The show's guest was a frequent one, John Goldman, aka Jack Murphy, a former DC charter school employee who was fired in 2018 after pseudonymically blogging, since deleted thought jewels like, okay. Jack Murphy blocked me on Twitter for telling him that we shouldn't prioritize racism against white people over racism against other people. So I really have no lug loss for Jack Murphy at this point. Although that makes me feel sad because I used to be okay with him. But if Jack Murphy wants to prioritize racism against white people over other types of racism, I put him in the same bank as Cassandra Fairbanks. The self-styled leading voices in men's Twitter space has late written about the concurrent decline in okay. This is so stupid. But when Goldman said so on air, Poole awkwardly changed the subject, perhaps because he seemed to understand how to boost similar narratives without crossing the line. The full live stream was viewed more than 361,000 times on YouTube as a publication. Far shorter excerpts have been viewed 331,000 times. All told, those 2 hours of fact-free, at times bigoted bantering put a few thousand YouTube ad dollars into Poole's pocket. His audience got a free dose of white nationalism. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I've lost my voice. I really have. I can barely even speak at this point. I gave it the old college try. I think that article's stupid. I'm sorry. I really do. But I'm going to end the live stream for today because I'm at almost 4 effing hours. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Listen, if you want to connect with me, join my locals community, kb.locals.com. If you want to talk to me, kb.locals.com/support, because you get access to my Zoom calls, my comments, all that good stuff. All that information is in the description below. We do happy hour every week at 3 p.m. I'm going to go relax now. Probably drink some more beer. Hang out with the husband and the dogs. Yeah, that article was effing stupid. I'm sorry. That article was stupid. Like, I don't like Tim Poole, but I am totally on his side in that article. That article was garbage. So thank you, Daily Beast, for making me defend someone I don't even like. It is what it is. Happy Friday, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.